Chapter 17:21. That's right. This mystic world is a world of its own. Not only are there people from the ancient era, but there are also extremely ferocious, monstrous beasts. We must be careful. We must not fall for their tricks. While eating the golden roasted meat, the group of people quickly chatted with one another. Of course, their conversation also reached Lin Xian's ears. Slanted moon, mystic world? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. This was not the first time he had heard of this place. The first time was from the natives. The second time was from the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Ruzalong, exactly what sort of place is the slanted moon, mystic world? Lin Xian asked via voice transmission. It is an extraordinary place. It is a world of its own. It can be said to be a paradise on earth. Furthermore, a very powerful race lives in this place. However, this place was sealed later on. It is even rumored that it was done by a great emperor. Since then, the slanted moon mystic world disappeared. Never would I have expected that it would reappear now. A great emperor. Lin Xian was extremely shocked upon hearing those words. Which great emperor? Who did it? Lin Xian asked again. I don't know. After all, it is only an ancient legend. It might not necessarily be true. The Crimson Dragon shook his head. On the other side, the golden roasted meat was completely eaten by the 5 people from the All Beginnings Holy Land. This was no ordinary meat. It contained enormous power. Thus, the 5 of them sat down cross-legged and began to operate their cultivation techniques. They consumed the energy contained in the roasted meat to recover their cultivation. Half a day later, the 5 of them opened their eyes. Soon after, the leading youth, Guo Chuanfei, stood up. His eyes were shining brightly. Beside him, the beautiful woman, Wang Yu, also revealed a smile. We've more or less recovered. Let's set off, Guo Chuanfei said in a deep voice. Soon after, the others also nodded their heads. Among them, the round-faced fatty pointed at Lin Xian and said, Get up and follow us. Okay. Lin Xian nodded his head slightly. He had a calm expression on his face. However, he had already made up his mind. He was going to take care of these 5 people in this forest. However, he still had to find an opportunity to make his move. These people from the All Beginnings Holy Land naturally didn't know what Lin Xian was thinking. Furthermore, they did not think that a mere rogue cultivator would dare to attack the 5 of them. Therefore, they did not take Lin Xian seriously at all. Instead, they carefully sized up the forest in front of them. The forest ahead was dense, and ancient trees towered into the sky. It was a primitive scene. Furthermore, roars could be heard from the dense forest from time to time. Among them, some of the voices were extremely terrifying, bringing with them a monstrous, demonic aura. With a single glance, one could tell that they were released by powerful, demonic kings. Be careful. This primeval forest is not to be underestimated, Guo Chuanfei said to those behind him. Don't worry, Senior Brother Guo. Wang Yu and the others nodded. After that, the group set off towards the primeval forest. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon followed behind. However, they still underestimated this primeval forest. That was because not long after they entered, they discovered an enormous skeleton ahead. There were still remnants of blood and flesh on the skeleton. It was clear that the corpse of this powerful, demonic king had just been killed. From the remnant aura on the skeleton, Guo Chuanfei and the others could clearly sense that this was an extremely powerful, demonic king. However, it had still been killed. Not even its corpse was left behind. From this, one could imagine that the one who had killed it was an even more terrifying existence. This caused the expressions of the All Beginnings Holy Land's cultivators to become extremely unsightly. As for Lin Xian, he was also extremely shocked. It seemed that this primeval forest was much more dangerous than he had imagined. Following that, everyone's eyelids jumped wildly. That was because they discovered those enormous skeletons from time to time. Those skeletons were all at the demonic king level. They were extremely terrifying. In fact, Lin Xian and the others even discovered that there were huge footprints around the corpses. It was clear that those footprints were left behind by some extremely terrifying life form. From the looks of it, it seems to be a human. Could it be an ancient giant? Wang Yu's complexion turned slightly pale. Guo Chuanfei's expression was also unsightly. He said in a deep voice, "All of you be careful." The three cultivators behind him also nodded their heads. Their palms were somewhat cold. Lin Xian was also secretly circulating his spiritual energy. He was prepared to take action at any moment. However, gradually, the complexions of the All Beginnings Holy Land's cultivators darkened. That was because they discovered that the further they went, the more frequent those huge footprints became. It was clear that they had entered the lair of a terrifying demonic beast. There was no need to think about it. That terrifying demonic beast was definitely in the vicinity. As soon as they thought of this, the few of them couldn't help but want to flee. Judging from the current situation, that demonic king was definitely incomparably terrifying. It wasn't an existence that they could contend against. "You go and scout ahead." In the end, the round-faced fatty tossed Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon to the front so that they could scout ahead. This way, if there was any danger, they would be able to quickly escape. As for the safety of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, they didn't care about it at all. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were walking at the front. The two of them sneered in their hearts. It would appear that the other party was no longer concealing their evil intentions. Since that was the case, there was nothing more to say. They had to quickly find an opportunity to kill those people. Otherwise, if they really entered the lair of that demonic beast, it would be very difficult for them to deal with it. Gradually, the sky darkened. The dense forest in the surroundings also became eerie. It could even be said that the demonic aura was overflowing. At this time, it was no longer suitable to travel. The reason for that was because some powerful demonic beasts would appear from time to time during the night. Because of that, Guo Chuanfei and the others decided to find a place to rest. Fortunately, there were many mountains in the forest. The few of them chose a decent mountaintop and constructed an enormous cave for them to rest in for the time being. They even set up a spirit formation in the surroundings to prevent demonic beasts from entering. Guo Chuanfei's group of 5 sat cross-legged in the cave to rest. However, they left Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon outside, because in their eyes, the two of them were slaves. Of course, they didn't deserve to live with them. The Crimson Dragon gritted his teeth. He couldn't help but want to attack. Lin Xian's face was also gloomy, but he quickly transmitted his voice. "Don't worry. Find the right time and kill them in one strike." After midnight, the surroundings of the cave were gloomy. There was only a flickering bonfire in the cave. Inside the cave, Guo Chuanfei's group of 5 had already sat cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon didn't cultivate. The two of them keenly sensed that there was a dull aura slowly gathering. This aura was very oppressive. Even Lin Xian felt extremely uncomfortable. "Damn it, what the hell is going on?" The Crimson Dragon also whispered. As a member of the Dragon Clan, even he felt a trace of panic. Therefore, the two of them didn't dare to cultivate at all. They knew that something terrible was going to happen in the second half of the night. Chapter 1722. Roar. Sure enough, before long a roar was heard. Like a sudden clap of thunder, it tore through the tranquil night sky. Not only that, but this roar was also extremely terrifying. Moreover, it was very close to Lin Xian and the others. Thus, Lin Xian and the others received a very strong impact. The sound wave tore through the void, carrying with it a powerful monstrous aura that filled the air. Strong winds swept through the world. terrifying energy surged forth and collided with the surrounding formations. Buzz! Buzz! The formations in the surroundings instantly lit up to resist the attack. However, they were unable to block it. Like paper, they were instantly torn apart. Whoosh! Without the defenses of the formations, the berserk energy instantly attacked Lin Xian and the others. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon quickly retreated. At the same time, their bodies lit up to defend themselves. However, the two of them did not use their full strength. This was because they could not reveal their true strength in front of the All Beginnings Holy Land's cultivators. Otherwise, they would be in a very passive position in the battle. Thus, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon appeared to be at a loss as they quickly retreated to the entrance of the cave. At this time, 5 figures instantly appeared in the cave like lightning. Their bodies shone with light and emitted powerful auras that formed an energy barrier that resisted the surrounding wind energy. What the hell is this? The 5 of them looked at their surroundings with unsightly expressions. Senior brother, the beautiful woman, Wang Yu, also had a pale complexion. Guo Chuanfei's expression was grave. His gaze was like lightning that pierced through the void as he looked ahead. In the distance, the world was in turmoil. Boundless spiritual energy surged and monstrous aura soared into the sky. It was as if a peerless beast had been born. Moreover, countless dark clouds had gathered in the sky at an unknown time. They were pitch black like 100,000 great mountains. Boom! Suddenly, a silver lightning bolt as thick as a water bucket struck down from the dark clouds. That lightning bolt was extremely terrifying. It was like a silver dragon that roared as it descended, instantly illuminating the entire sky. At the same time, it also illuminated the beast below. Lin Xian and the others quickly looked over. Then, they sucked in a breath of cold air. There was a mountain-like figure in front of them. Its entire body was golden. It was a golden divine ape with 6 arms. At this moment, it was facing the sky and roaring. He let out a roar that was as loud as a flash flood. The terrifying sound waves were like a tidal wave, accompanied by the 6 arms waving in the air, resisting the silver lightning falling from the sky. Boom! This scene was simply too terrifying. Even Guo Chuanfei and the other martial artists from the All Beginnings Holy Land were shocked. Lin Xian was also shocked. He did not expect that the fierce beast nearby was actually a 6-armed divine ape. This was a type of ancient, mutated beast. It was extremely terrifying. However, he wasn't in the mood to care about this at the moment. This was because Lin Xian realized that this was the perfect opportunity to strike. Therefore, in the next moment, without any hesitation, he quickly transmitted his voice to the Crimson Dragon. Then the energy in his body burst out instantly. Puff! In an instant, he pulled out the 9-hell devil sword and drew a black sword light in the air, quickly stabbing towards Guo Chuanfei. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon waved its claws and enveloped the other 3 martial artists. Puff! Lin Xian didn't hold back at all. This sword strike was too powerful, and it was so sudden that Guo Chuanfei didn't expect it at all. An ant in his eyes had actually attacked him. Therefore, he hadn't been on guard before. Moreover, the 6-armed divine ape was resisting the 9 heavens' divine lightning, erupting with terrifying energy that swept out in all directions. As a result, he didn't pay attention to his surroundings. There was only a ball of energy around his body that resisted the storm. However, this ball of energy seemed incomparably weak at this moment. In an instant, the ball of energy was broken apart by the 9-hell devil sword. Then, the sharp edge of the sword stabbed into his back. Puff! Blood spurted out. However, as a martial artist from the All Beginnings Holy Land, Guo Chuanfei was exceptionally strong. Therefore, he was able to discover something amiss at the last moment. At this moment of crisis, he forcefully moved his body to the side, narrowly dodging the attack that was aimed at his vitals. However, the sword still managed to pierce through him. After Lin Xian succeeded, he didn't stop. An incomparably terrifying berserk aura erupted from his body. His left fist was like a black dragon as it ruthlessly smashed towards his opponent. "You're courting death." Guo Chuanfei was furious. He endured the pain and frantically turned around. He hadn't expected that an ant would actually dare to attack him. However, he didn't have time to think about it. A black fist carrying the shadow of a huge black dragon was rapidly smashing into his body. Bang! In the next instant, he was sent flying. Most of the bones in his body were broken. On the other side, the sound of an intense collision could be heard. It turned out that the Crimson Dragon's dragon claw had ruthlessly smashed into the bodies of 3 other martial artists. Immediately, an earth-shaking tremor was created. However, this tremor was insignificant in such a berserk environment. The 3 martial artists were also sent flying. 2 of them were injured, and the last one was pierced through by the dragon claw. What? When the woman, Wang Yu, saw this scene, she was dumbfounded. She hadn't expected that the 2 martial artists would dare to attack. Moreover, their sneak attack had succeeded. Her senior brother and her companions were severely injured in an instant. "Brat, you are courting death." The other 2 martial artists had sinister expressions. As for Guo Chuanfei, he was covered in blood. He seemed like a demon as he emitted an incomparably terrifying killing intent. "You dare attack me?" Even now, he didn't dare to believe that the other party would dare to attack him. How could an insignificant, loose cultivator dare to attack the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land? However, the other party had really attacked him. Not only that, but his sneak attack had succeeded. Not only had he seriously injured him, but he had also killed a martial artist. Humph. So what if I attack you? Don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Didn't you want to kill the 2 of us? It's just that the 2 of us attacked first. Lin Xian didn't feel the slightest bit guilty. He had already sensed the sinister intentions of these 5 people. Thus, he naturally wouldn't show any mercy when he attacked. Kill. Guo Chuanfei didn't speak any nonsense. Right now, he could only survive by killing the other party. Thus, he immediately circulated his cultivation technique and rapidly healed his wounds. Then he swallowed some healing pills. Now that his life was at stake, he couldn't care less about holding back. In the next instant, an incomparably terrifying radiance erupted from his body. Then, like a demon, he charged at Lin Xian. On the other side, Wang Yu and the other 2 martial artists also roared and charged at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. "Brat, you dare to injure my senior brother." "Die for me," Wang Yu shouted. Her entire face was filled with killing intent. Her body shone brightly as she held a sword in her hand. Then, she quickly stabbed it at Lin Xian. This sword was like a flood dragon emerging from the water. It was incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian coldly snorted. He didn't dodge at all. Instead, he waved the 9-nethered demonic sword in his hand and slashed forward. Pum! The 2 swords collided, causing heaven and earth to shake. However, the sword in Wang Yu's hand was directly cut in half. What? This is impossible. Wang Yu was stunned. She didn't expect the demonic sword in the other party's hand to be so sharp. However, in the next instant, she screamed. Chapter 17:23. Wang Yu was dumbfounded. She didn't expect the demonic sword in her opponent's hand to be so sharp. But in the next moment, she screamed. That was because the 9 underworld demonic sword didn't stop. Instead, it pierced toward her with countless sharp sword energies. Primal Chaos Shield. At this critical moment, Wang Yu shouted. Light blossomed from her body, forming a simple shield of light in front of her. This was indeed a lost technique. However, she couldn't block it at all. Firstly, Lin Xian's strength had completely surpassed hers. Secondly, Lin Xian wasn't holding back at all. Wang Yu couldn't contend against such battle prowess. Therefore, in the next moment, the shield of light shattered. Not only that, but Wang Yu was also pierced by the sword. The terrifying sword energies carried her body and nailed her to the mountain peak on the opposite side. Junior's sister. Seeing this scene, Guo Chuanfei roared crazily. He didn't hold back anymore and charged toward Lin Xian. On the other side, the two All Beginnings Holy Lands cultivators were blocked by the Crimson Dragon. Guo Chuanfei's expression was malevolent and murderous. He spread open his 5 fingers, and 5 divine rainbows flew out from his fingertips. The void was instantly pierced through. The 5 divine rainbows emitted powerful killing intent as they rushed toward Lin Xian. These divine rainbows were comparable to divine weapons. However, Lin Xian snorted disdainfully. If you were in your peak condition, you might be able to fight against me. But now you're seriously injured. You're no match for me. As he spoke, he brandished the 9 underworld demonic sword. The black demonic sword emitted a jet-black radiance. It looked like a sword from hell. It contained an astonishing amount of power. Offensive saint technique. At this moment, Lin Xian was displaying it to the extreme. Its battle prowess was incomparably terrifying. Therefore, with a single sword strike, he was able to sever the 5 divine rainbows. Not only that, but the terrifying sword light also enveloped Guo Chuanfei. Being enveloped by the black sword light, Guo Chuanfei felt his hair stand on end. This was too shocking. His opponent was just an ant. Yet he actually possessed this kind of battle prowess. This surprised him. From the looks of it, even if his opponent hadn't launched a sneak attack and he wasn't seriously injured, this battle would have been extremely dangerous. Thinking of this, Guo Chuanfei's face became terrifyingly gloomy. He knew that he had to attack with all his might. He couldn't let the other party escape. Otherwise, it would be an endless disaster. Therefore, in the next moment, he endured the pain and pushed his strength to the limit. Boom! All the bones in his body emitted crackling sounds as they were repaired in an instant. Clearly, Guo Chuanfei had used some kind of secret technique. However, the sword wound on his body had not completely healed. Because this was the power of the great dragon sword spirit, it was abnormally sharp and no one could heal it in a short period of time. However, Guo Chuanfei couldn't care less about that. Even though he was still bleeding, he had to attack with all his might. A palm stretched out. The light on it was like a scorching sun as it pressed towards the void. Boom! Immediately, the void trembled and emitted a boundless amount of chaotic energy. It formed a wanton radiance that was incomparably hazy and laid horizontally in front of him. Clang! Clang! The black sword chi that filled the sky collided with the chaotic chi, creating an earth-shattering sound. The chaotic chi was very impressive. It did not immediately shatter. This was a powerful technique of the All Beginnings Holy Land. The All Beginnings Holy Land. Just from its name, one could tell that it was very domineering. Since it dared to use the word 10,000 beginnings, it was enough to prove its strength. Mr. Primal Chaos had yet to appear. Thus, the All Beginnings Holy Land cultivated the Primal Chaos technique. This cultivation technique was incomparably mysterious and abnormally powerful. Now that Guo Chuanfei used it, it had a different kind of might. Seeing that he had blocked the black sword chi, Guo Chuanfei breathed out a sigh of relief. Then he waved his hands and sent out even more chaotic chi. The chaotic chi formed a simple and unadorned picture scroll that revolved around him. Brett, die for me. This simple and unadorned picture scroll emitted the power of a domain. It was extremely terrifying. In an instant, it enveloped the entire space. Not only that, but countless strands of chaotic chi also fell down. They turned into sharp rays of light that pierced towards Lin Xian. Seeing the scene, Lin Xian frowned and coldly snorted. He used Heavenly Dragon 8 steps. His entire body was like a flickering shadow as he rapidly dodged. Humph! It's useless. You can't dodge my chaotic chi. Guo Chuanfei sneered. This was because the chaotic chi had combined with his domain to form a powerful technique. His opponent was just a small, loose cultivator. How could he possibly block it? Sure enough, the chaotic chi was like a poisonous snake that chased after him. It pierced through Lin Xian's afterimages, one after another. As for Lin Xian, he coldly snorted when he heard his opponent's words. An arrow at the end of its flight. You can't even withstand a single blow. Watch how I break you. In the next moment, he stopped dodging. A blue domain rapidly appeared around his body, emitting a monstrous aura. As for the 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand, it shone with boundless radiance. Boom! With a slash of his sword, the void in all directions was slashed open by him. This black sword chi was like a black nether river as it quickly slashed forward. The sword chi crisscrossed, and a terrifying killing intent filled the wilderness. Guo Chuanfei felt the sharpness of this sword chi, and his heart turned cold. He didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly recalled the chaotic chi and used it to block in front of him. Clang! In the next moment, the black sword chi slashed on the chaotic chi. However, what made Guo Chuanfei's scalp go numb was that his chaotic chi couldn't block it at all this time and was directly cut in half. No. Guo Chuanfei vomited blood and flew backward. He really didn't dare to imagine that his opponent's combat strength had reached such a level. That was his ultimate move. But it was actually split in half by a sword. He had to admit that it was indeed terrifying. However, Lin Xian didn't stop at all. He carried the dragon's sword domain and instantly chased after him like a flash of light. He knew that his opponent was a terrifying opponent, and the reason why he was able to severely injure his opponent so quickly was because he had taken him by surprise. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so easy to defeat his opponent, because without mentioning anything else, just the chaotic chi alone was enough to give him a headache. Therefore, he wouldn't let go of this opportunity. Whoosh! In the next moment, his figure flashed like lightning and appeared in front of Guo Chuanfei. The sword light on his body soared into the sky. Lin Xian was like a killing god at all times. Meanwhile, Guo Chuanfei was lying on the ground. His hair was disheveled and his body was covered in blood. In a sorry state, he was in a sorry state. Previously, he was high and mighty like an emperor, mercilessly commanding Lin Xian and not taking him seriously at all. However, he didn't expect that in just one day, the status of both sides had changed drastically. The powerful combat strength displayed by his opponent shocked him. As for himself, he was seriously injured and was about to be killed. Damn it, who are you? Guo Chuanfei stared at Lin Xian and roared crazily. That was because he really couldn't believe that a small, rogue cultivator could have such powerful combat strength. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Who I am is not important. What's important is that it's all over. The 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand emitted a cold light, then stabbed forward. Chapter 1724. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Who I am isn't important. What's important is that everything is over. The 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand emitted an ice-cold radiance as it pierced forward. Ha 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 ha. You want to kill me, Guo Chuanfei? Dream on. Brat, let's perish together. As Guo Chuanfei spoke, a crazed expression appeared on his face. Then, the radiance on his body grew brighter and brighter as the primal chaos picture wrapped around his body. Not good. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Xian's pupil shrank. He rapidly retreated as he executed Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps to the limit. At the same time, the Storm War boots on his feet started to shine brightly. Whoosh! Like a sword ray, he rapidly retreated. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon's palm pierced through a disciple of the All-Beginning's holy land. Then he also rapidly retreated. At this moment, the storm cloak on his body shone brightly. His entire body was like a red lightning bolt. As for the other surviving All Beginnings Holy Land disciple, he couldn't care less about him. That was because Guo Chuanfei had self-detonated. The self-detonation of a king, a 5-star king at that, was extremely terrifying. For a time, an incomparably terrifying explosion of energy swept out in all directions. Although Guo Chuanfei was only a 5-star king, he was a cultivator of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Moreover, he was an elite. His battle power was even more terrifying than ordinary 6-star kings. Therefore, the might of the explosion was extremely shocking. No, the other surviving All Beginnings Holy Land disciple roared crazily when he saw this scene. He immediately fled into the distance. However, he wasn't fast enough. In an instant, he was engulfed by the terrifying energy storm. Although Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had grasped Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps and were extremely fast, they were still affected by the energy storm. However, they were still struck by the energy storm. The two of them quickly activated their king domains to resist the energy storm. The two of them were like sailboats in a storm that could capsize at any moment. However, they managed to resist it in the end. Whoosh! Lin Xian's complexion turned extremely ugly as he looked at the pitch-black crater in the forest before him. He had been too careless this time. Previously, he had killed the disciples of the All Beginnings Holy Land. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Perhaps the hierarchy in the Holy Land was even more detailed than in Danzong. The disciples of the Holy Land that he had killed before were probably the most ordinary disciples. Even so, he was still more powerful than the top elites of the 3 affiliated sects such as Danzong. And someone like Guo Chuanfei should be one of the more powerful ones in the Holy Land. Their strength was incomparably terrifying. They could even contend against ordinary 6-star kings. Therefore, such people had to be guarded against. Guo Chuanfei's self-destruction created a terrifying explosion of energy that affected both Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Therefore, the two of them quickly flew away from this area. They came to a safe place, sat down cross-legged, and quickly recovered their strength. Lin Xian didn't even hesitate to consume elixirs and supreme-grade, substandard divine crystals, because his heart was beating wildly and he had an extremely bad premonition. Sure enough, it didn't take long for a murderous aura to come from the rear left. It turned into a cross-shaped sword wave and rushed over quickly. Boom! Lin Xian waved his hand and shot out a large amount of energy that collided with the murderous aura. Then he suddenly turned around and looked behind him. In the forest behind him, a figure quickly appeared. Her figure was enchanting and had a seductive aura that made one's blood boil. "It's you." Lin Xian frowned when he saw the other party. This woman was none other than the half-demon woman who had sneak-attacked him before. He didn't expect her to appear again. Moreover, the timing was too good. It happened right after he had a great battle with someone. Could it be that she had been following him? Thinking of this, Lin Xian's face darkened. The art of longevity in his body quickly circulated and digested the energy of the healing elixirs. "Yes, it's me." The beautiful woman sneered. "I told you that I would come back for you. Why are you looking for me? Could it be that you can't bear to part with me?" Lin Xian smiled slightly, but he was secretly speeding up his recovery. "Indeed, I can't bear to part with you. Your vitality is so strong, and you're the best choice for a cauldron. If I can absorb your energy, my cultivation will definitely rise to another level. Moreover, you dared to kill someone from the Demon King Palace. No matter what, I can't let you go. Why bother?" Lin Xian laughed. "Why don't you follow me and leave the Demon King Palace? I'll let you live freely for the rest of your life." "You want me to leave the Demon King Palace with just you? What a joke!" The half-demon woman sneered. "You don't know the strength of the Demon King Palace. Moreover, you've underestimated me." The half-demon woman stared coldly at Lin Xian. All right, cut the crap. Are you going to surrender obediently, or do you want me to break your limbs and drag you back? You sure talk big. Don't tell me you think you've got me? Lin Xian snorted, but he didn't make a move. The half-demon woman, Zhao Tianxia, walked over step by step. Kid, don't struggle. I know you're recovering your strength, but it's useless. I saw everything that happened just now. After being hit by that energy, you won't be able to recover in a short time. Even if you try to stall for time, it's useless. Indeed, she was hiding in the dark and saw the scene just now. When she saw Lin Xian being hit by the explosion, she decided to make a move. If it was an ordinary person, she wouldn't have done anything wrong. After all, when a cultivator was injured, their combat strength would be greatly reduced. Unfortunately, she encountered Lin Xian this time. She didn't know how powerful Lin Xian's art of longevity was. Lin Xian didn't move as he watched his opponent slowly walk over. However, he secretly mobilized the energy in his body and prepared a thunderous assistant. Sure enough, when the opponent was 10 meters away from Lin Xian, a terrifying energy suddenly erupted from Lin Xian's body. His fists danced as the apocalyptic black dragon fist rushed out. The powerful energy transformed into 2 black dragons, surging and roaring. What? The half-demon woman, Zhao Tianxia, narrowed her eyes. She didn't expect her opponent to be able to display such power despite being injured. However, since she had decided to make a move, why would she run away? With a shout, light bloomed from her body, and a domain quickly appeared behind her. The 5 silver scorpion tails were like silver spears. They were extremely sharp as they pierced through the void and flew forward. Boom, boom, boom. The void was pierced through in an instant. A terrifying silver light, like the Milky Way, wrapped around the 2 black dragons. Boom! The scales on the silver scorpion tails flickered and emitted a cold light, instantly killing the 2 black dragon phantoms. The world shook as the 5 silver lights flew up again and pounced on Lin Xian. Chapter 1725. A terrifying killing intent shook the world. Humph. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Facing the 5 silver tails, he had no fear at all. The apocalyptic black dragon fists were constantly swung around. His fists had turned into 2 black dragons, spiraling in the void and surging forward. They unleashed earth-shattering energy. Heavenly Scorpion, reappear! On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also shouted, and the silver domain behind her shone even brighter. Then, a huge silver body appeared in the void. It was a huge scorpion. Its body was silver and emitted a cold light. Waves of energy surged out of its body, shaking the entire space. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if a real ancient demon beast had crossed time and space and appeared in the sky. In the next instant, the enormous silver body swayed, and the terrifying scorpion tail and 2 silver pincers rapidly descended. Boom, boom, boom. Silver light crisscrossed, illuminating the entire space and colliding with the black fist shadows in the sky. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if 10,000 mountains were colliding in the sky. Large swathes of forests collapsed, the earth caved in, and terrifying cracks appeared in the void. In the end, Lin Xian let out a long cry and unleashed his ultimate technique. 2 pitch-black dragon claws appeared on his palms, and he waved them forcefully. Suddenly, the entire space cracked open. The silver light that filled the sky disappeared. Damn, brat, you actually have such powerful strength. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia's face was solemn. Unexpected, it was too unexpected. She had expected the other party to be severely injured and unable to exert much strength. But now, it seemed that this was not the case. Her opponent's strength was too strong. There was no difference at all from before he was injured. That berserk and destructive aura made her extremely fearful. But how was this possible? No one could withstand that kind of impact, but fortunately he was unharmed. Therefore, she concluded that Lin Xian must be injured. But how could he still display such terrifying strength when he was injured? Zhao Tianxia could not understand at all. But in the end, she coldly snorted. "Brat, I don't know what secret technique you used to forcibly recover your strength. But thinking about it, this secret technique won't last for long. Therefore, the final victor will be me. As for you, you will become my slave and be sucked dry by me." On the other side, Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Indeed, the explosion just now had injured him. However, his secret art of long life was heaven-defying. That ferocious recovery ability of his had already healed more than half of his injuries. However, he did not let his guard down. That was because the half-demon woman was also extraordinarily powerful. She was probably not any weaker than Guochuanfei, especially since the other party had a group of bloodlines. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to go all out again. The next moment, a green light flashed behind him, and the dragon, Sword Domain, quickly appeared. A terrifying aura filled the air as Sword Qi soared into the sky. Even the void couldn't withstand it. A king's domain? Looks like you want to fight with your life on the line. My guess was right. Your secret technique won't last for long. On the other side, a cold smile appeared on Zhao Tianxia's face. Lin Xian snorted coldly when he heard the other party's words. Naturally, it wasn't that the secret technique's time was up, but that he didn't want to waste time and wanted to finish off the other party quickly. However, since the other party had misunderstood, then so be it. He wouldn't explain. As the energy in his body surged, the dragon's sword domain around him became even more resplendent. There was even a low dragon's roar. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also shouted as a silver light flashed behind her. The silver domain shone brightly, and within it was an ancient sky scorpion. The silver sky scorpion carried an incomparably terrifying aura. It was like a silver mountain that crushed the void. This scene was too terrifying. The silver sky scorpion carried the bloodline of the demon race and had an unparalleled pressure. This undoubtedly made Zhao Tianxia's king's domain even more powerful. Seeing the other party's powerful domain, Lin Xian's expression turned solemn. However, in the next moment, he took a step forward. Suddenly, tens of thousands of sword qi vibrated together and let out a cry. The terrifying sword qi soared into the sky with unparalleled power. Then, Lin Xian activated the dragon sword domain and charged forward. Boom! 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 The entire void collapsed. The dragon's sword domain and the sky scorpion's silver domain collided, creating a sound like a tsunami. Boundless light burst forth, and terrifying energy whistled, filling every inch of the void. The entire forest was shaking, and there were even roars of demon beasts in the distance. Obviously, the battle between the two had alarmed the demon kings here. After another fierce collision, the two figures quickly retreated and pulled apart the distance between them. Lin Xian's figure was tall and straight, and his face was sharp like a knife. He looked like a god of death. Sword qi revolved around his body, and it was incomparably resplendent. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also appeared in the void. Behind her, a silver king's domain appeared. She stood on the sky scorpion's shadow. As expected of the cauldron I chose, you are indeed powerful. Your vitality has even surpassed the average disciple of the sacred lands. Be my cauldron obediently, and I can spare your life. Spare my life? Lin Xian snorted. You talk big. Worry about your own safety first. You think you can kill me? On the other side, Zhao Tianxia sneered. I think your secret technique won't last for long. It will probably disappear soon. When the time comes, I'd like to see how stubborn you are. Zhao Tianxia snorted and attacked again. The battle began again. The two fought until the sky fell and the earth cracked. But gradually, Zhao Tianxia frowned, because she realized that something was wrong. After such a long time, even if there was a secret technique, its effect should have disappeared. However, not only did the other party's combat strength not weaken, it grew stronger and stronger. She couldn't believe it. Damn it! Impossible! Why is your combat strength still growing? Shouldn't it weaken? Ignorant. Lin Xian snorted and didn't answer. He waved the 9 darkness demonic sword and swept it forward. Sword Qi swept out like a giant dragon, tearing the sky apart. Damn it! Impossible! This is impossible! Zhao Tianxia frantically tried to block. Did you not use a secret technique? She finally lost her composure. She couldn't take down the other party after so many moves, and she was gradually being suppressed. If the battle continued, she wouldn't be a match for the other party. At this moment, Lin Xian roared. Soon after, 3 figures rushed out of his dragon sword domain. Every illusory figure was incomparably resplendent and carried with it a shocking sword qi. Chapter 1726. In the sky, Lin Xian roared. Soon after, 3 figures rushed out of his dragon sword domain. Every illusory figure was incomparably resplendent and carried with it a shocking sword qi. Sword God Phantoms. This was Lin Xian's 6 God sword technique. He could already condense 3 sword phantoms. These 3 sword phantoms quickly rushed out and stood in 3 directions. Together with Lin Xian, they suppressed the entire void. A special domain appeared and trapped Zhao Tianxia within. In the next moment, Lin Xian roared and attacked together with the 3 sword God phantoms. Terrifying sword qi swept out and instantly covered the entire void. This scene was simply too terrifying. The space was instantly blasted apart. As for Zhao Tianxia, he was instantly enveloped by sword qi that filled the sky. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, Zhao Tianxia was forced to retreat. His domain had been suppressed and had even become much dimmer. Not only that, when the sword qi slashed his domain, it immediately caused his qi and blood to churn. Not long after, he vomited blood and was injured. Damn it! These are clones! Zhao Tianxia looked at the sky with a shocked expression. How can clones be so strong? She really couldn't understand. That was because the 3 sword god phantoms were simply too powerful. Each of them shone brightly with monstrous battle intent. Their terrifying battle strength was like a vast ocean with no end. It seemed that they were not weaker than the main body. Seeing this scene, Zhao Tianxia's expression was abnormally ugly. She already couldn't beat Lin Xian alone. Now that there were 3 more clones, it was even more impossible for her to be a match for the other party. Moreover, the other party didn't look exhausted at all, which made her even more terrified. So at this moment, she didn't dare to fight the other party. Instead, she was thinking about how to escape. Because if they continued fighting, she would definitely lose. So she carried the silver domain and charged around, wanting to leave this space. You want to leave? Lin Xian sneered. Don't you think it's too late? He roared, and the energy in his body surged rapidly. His battle strength was even higher. 3 sword god phantoms quickly rushed forward and surrounded Zhao Tianxia. As for Lin Xian's body, it was shining brightly. He brandished the apocalyptic black dragon fist and unleashed a terrifying fist technique. The world-destroying black dragon scroll was incomparably violent and unstoppable. At this moment, in Lin Xian's hands, it was even more ferocious. With a punch, the sky was filled with the shadows of dragons. Each dragon shadow was entwined with incomparably terrifying sword qi. They crushed the void and roared abnormally as they charged toward Zhao Tianxia. Pum! In the next moment, there was an earth-shattering tremor, followed by a blood-curdling scream. Blood spurted out as half of Tianxia's body was smashed. However, she did not die. Instead, she quickly retreated. A ball of red light appeared on her body. It was her demonic bloodline. In the next moment, she ignited the demonic bloodline in her body and erupted with unparalleled power. At the same time, the ancient scorpion in the king's domain opened its eyes. Suddenly, an incomparably terrifying aura spread out. The ancient sky scorpion phantom shone with boundless light. A part of it enveloped Zhao Tianxia, while the other part turned into a silver long sword and slashed forward. In an instant, a crack was torn in the void. The silver light rolled up and carried Zhao Tianxia away into the distance. Seeing this, Lin Xian coldly snorted and activated the dragon sword domain. Immediately, countless sword lights rushed out and turned into rainbows as they quickly chased after Zhao Tianxia. However, that silver light was too strange. It had awakened some kind of ancient bloodline and was incomparably terrifying. In an instant, she had escaped without a trace. She actually ran away. Lin Xian frowned when he saw this scene. After thinking for a long time, he did not chase after her. First of all, she definitely had some secret techniques in her hands. It would not be easy to kill her. Moreover, the continuous battles had consumed too much of his strength. Right now, he did not have much strength left in his body. Therefore, he should focus on recovering. After all, he still did not know how long he would have to stay in this mystic world. Therefore, in the next moment, she did not hesitate, and her figure flashed and left this place. In a dense forest, the Crimson Dragon had set up a powerful array to isolate the surroundings. In front of it, Lin Xian was sitting cross-legged. Beside him, there were 6 pieces of top-grade secondary crystals arranged into a small spirit gathering array, and he was operating the longevity art with all his strength to quickly absorb the energy. Rays of resplendent light circled around his body, like the rays of the sun. This energy was quickly repairing his body and replenishing Lin Xian's spiritual energy at the same time. Not only that, Lin Xian's longevity art was operating faster and faster, and even began to absorb the surrounding spiritual energy. This was simply too incredible. One had to know that this space was a world of its own, and it was very difficult for outsiders to absorb spiritual energy. Therefore, those foreign cultivators would crazily collect other people's storage rings. They wanted to obtain enough energy to maintain their combat strength. And now, Lin Xian was actually able to absorb the surrounding spiritual energy, and the speed was much faster than before. It had to be said that this was simply too shocking. Lin Xian seemed to have noticed this as well, and the corners of his mouth suddenly curled up slightly. In the next moment, he operated the longevity art with all his strength, and the spiritual energy from all directions quickly gathered towards him. Gradually, an energy storm was formed and enveloped him. With this energy storm, Lin Xian's recovery speed was extremely fast. Not long after, he was restored to his peak state. Not only that, he absorbed with all his strength and cultivated. However, after a while, the spiritual energy storm quickly disappeared. Lin Xian opened his eyes as well, feeling as if he hadn't had enough. Then he revealed a puzzled look. What's going on? He didn't stop cultivating, but the spirit chi was quickly receding, which surprised him. On the side, the Crimson Dragon said this should be a protective method to prevent people from consuming too much of the energy in the mystic world. Then he looked at Lin Xian with a face full of surprise. Boy, you're really surprising. You can actually absorb the energy here. To be honest, even the Crimson Dragon could not do this. Lin Xian smiled and said, "This is all thanks to the longevity art. This technique is really amazing." Indeed, the longevity art was incomparably mysterious, and it allowed Lin Xian to have a strong recovery ability. Not only that, his spiritual energy was much stronger than cultivators of the same level. Now he could even absorb the energy in the tilted moon mystic world. Although Ling Xian did not know where the ultimate limit of the longevity art was, being able to absorb the energy here was undoubtedly good news. This gave him a bigger trump card. When the time came for battle, he would not have to worry too much. Without any worries for the time being, Lin Xian was completely at ease. He planned to carefully explore this primeval forest. At the very least, he had to figure out what was here. Chapter 17:27. Soon, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon set off. The two of them walked carefully in the forest. Lin Xian used his soul power to observe the surroundings to avoid the powerful monster kings. He knew that he could not be careless in this forest. There were probably many terrifying monsters hibernating here. For example, the six-armed ape that they met the other night was absolutely terrifying. Even a mighty figure might not be able to fight against it. If he encountered it, there was no way he could survive. The two of them walked for a day and entered the inner part of the forest. Along the way, the two of them were very careful and were not discovered by the powerful monster kings. However, at this moment, there was a sudden roar that shook heaven and earth. The sound was very shocking and carried a monstrous aura. Hearing this sound, Lin Xian's scalp went numb and he prepared to take a detour. However, at this moment, a few more roars came from the front. Then a violent energy aura surged. Sensing these auras, Lin Xian stopped in his tracks with a bewildered look on his face. Someone is fighting! Moreover, these auras did not belong to humans. Could it be monsters? Lin Xian was stunned. He did not expect to encounter such a thing. At the side, the Crimson Dragon was also a little excited. "Kid, should we go and take a look?" "There's so many monsters fighting. I'm afraid there's a reason. Maybe it's for treasures." It was possible. They walked in the forest for a few days and did not find any treasures. Perhaps the monsters in front of them were really fighting for some kind of treasure. The two of them walked forward carefully. However, when they arrived at the scene, they were stunned, because the battle in front of them had already ended. The surroundings were a mess. Monster aura filled the air and blood flowed like a river on the ground. The pungent smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon stepped on broken trees and cracked ground and walked forward carefully. They found a few huge corpses in front of them. Each of them was at the Monster King level and was extremely terrifying. At this moment, their bodies were cut open and blood and internal organs flowed all over the ground. Evidently, he had been killed. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian and Lin Xian were extremely shocked. Even such a powerful Yao King was killed. It seemed like there was another terrifying existence. The two of them didn't dare to stay any longer and wanted to leave. However, at this moment, a figure walked out from the cave ahead. It was a black bear with a single horn on its head. It looked extremely ferocious. On its body, its black fur flickered with a jet-black light, flowing with a strange energy, especially the horn on his forehead. It was like a black jade, sparkling and translucent. The energy contained within it was even more terrifying. Compared to the surrounding demonic beasts, he was not very big, only 3 meters tall. But at this moment, he was emitting an incomparably horrifying supreme aura. The Black Bear Demon King was walking out of the cave. But in the next moment, it stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, its eyes emitting a fierce light. Lin Xian had goosebumps all over his body when he was being stared at like that. He sensed danger. According to his original plan, he should have retreated by now. However, in the next moment, he frowned, because he discovered that although the black bear was powerful, there was a terrifying crack on the left side of its back. Although the blood had coagulated, the crack was still very eye-catching. It was obvious that it was injured in the battle just now, and it seemed that the injury was not light. Otherwise, with this demonic beast's ferocious personality, it would have pounced on them immediately. It would not have issued a warning here. Perhaps there was a chance. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The crimson dragon also waved its dragon claws excitedly. Kid, do you want to make a move? That black bear king is injured. Let's do it. Lin Xian nodded. He was not willing to give up this opportunity. That was because he felt a strange energy in the cave. It should be some kind of treasure. In the next moment, Lin Xian's expression was solemn as he took out the 10,000 beast sting. The crimson dragon's body glowed red as it prepared to attack. Roar! Seeing that Lin Xian and Lin Xian were about to attack, the black bear in front of them roared angrily. Its murderous aura instantly spread out. As a demonic beast king, and an extremely powerful one at that, it would not allow humans to provoke it. Therefore, in the next moment, it roared angrily and turned into a ray of black light, charging towards Lin Xian. However, halfway through, the black bear's body suddenly stiffened. That was because the wound on its back had split open again. Blood gushed out, and even the eerie white bones were exposed. Roar! The black bear roared in pain. This is a good chance. Lin Xian seized the opportunity and activated the 10,000 beast ding in his hand. Suddenly, the 10,000 beast ding released a ray of black light that flew forward. Boom! This ray of black light was like a black divine spear. It was extremely sharp. In an instant, it pierced through the black bear, leaving a fist-sized wound on its body. Roar! The black bear was injured again, and its entire body became extremely frenzied. Its murderous aura soared to the sky, and its demonic aura turned into smoke that quickly surged into the sky. However, at the same time, a crimson dragon tail, like a heavenly pillar, lashed out from the void. Boom! The black bear's body trembled, and he was sent flying. That was because the crimson dragon tail had sent him flying. It was obvious that this was the crimson dragon's attack. Roar! Roar! After receiving 2 extremely powerful attacks in an instant, the black bear's already injured body became even more fragile. At that moment, its body was covered in blood, and it had become extremely frenzied. However, its ferocious nature had been stimulated. Instead of running away, it quickly pounced towards Lin Xian. Boom! In an instant, it was in front of Lin Xian, and its terrifying black bear paw quickly slapped down. In an instant, a pitch-black hole was formed in the void. This attack was too violent. Even though the black bear was injured, it was still extremely terrifying. Buzz! Lin Xian did not want to take it head-on. He used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps and turned into an afterimage, dodging the attack in an instant. At the same time, his paw kept slapping the 10,000 beast sting. Buzz! 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 The 10,000 beast sting vibrated rapidly, and pitch-black figures kept moving around on it. Then a black heavenly rock rushed out and flew towards the black bear. The feathers that filled the sky turned into black sword aura. The black sword aura was extremely sharp, and it quickly slashed downwards. The black bear waved its paw and unleashed a wave of energy that could topple mountains and overturn seas. It directly shattered the black sword aura that filled the sky. However, in the process, it suffered 2 more dragon claws on its back. Suddenly, its huge body shook continuously, as if it would collapse at any time. Roar! The black bear's eyes turned blood red. Then it opened its bloody mouth and roared behind it. A sound wave rippled out, carrying a strange energy that surged towards the crimson divine dragon. The sound wave was too terrifying. It was even sharper than the heavenly blade. Moreover, the sound wave could be stacked. Therefore, when it came close to the crimson dragon, the sound wave was still extremely powerful. Chapter 1728. Roar! The crimson dragon's body glowed as its dragon blood surged. In the next moment, it roared as well. An earth-shattering dragon roar rang out, carrying with it an unparalleled pressure as it fought against the Black Bear King's sound waves. Although the Crimson Dragon's cultivation was not as strong as the Black Bear King's, the power of its bloodline far surpassed the Black Bear King's. Therefore, when the two sound waves collided, they were actually evenly matched. The sky surged as countless black cracks appeared. The two terrifying sound waves disappeared at the same time. However, at this moment, Lin Xian leaped high into the air. The 10,000 beast sting in his hand emitted an even brighter light. A strange energy wave was emitted from the 10,000 beast sting. It quickly surged forward and enveloped the Black Bear King. The mysterious light was incomparably dark, as if it was going to suppress the Black Bear King. Roar! At this critical moment, the Black Bear King's hair stood on end. It let out an earth-shattering roar. Then, the horn on its forehead suddenly emitted light. The horn was originally jade-black in color. At this moment, mysterious patterns appeared on it. A terrifying aura instantly surged out. Whoosh! For a moment, the surrounding wind howled and dark clouds covered the sky. The scene was extremely terrifying. Then, a ray of light surged out from the horn. It directly pierced through the void and turned into an eternal ray of light. This ray of light was really too terrifying. It directly tore apart the attack of the 10,000 beast sting and quickly blasted towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's expression was solemn as his body swayed. He held the 10,000 beast sting in one hand and clenched his other hand into a fist. He directly punched out. A black dragon roared, carrying with it a black light that shook the heavens and earth. While, on the other side, the 10,000 beast sting was spinning even faster. Then it suddenly grew in size like a black mountain, pressing down on the ground. Clang! In the next moment, it collided with the black light emitted by the horn, producing an earth-shattering sound. The void trembled, and a terrifying light burst forth. However, the 10,000 beast sting was an Earth-rank mid-grade artifact. It was too terrifying. It directly shattered all the attacks. The void instantly returned to calm. The 10,000 beast sting was still pressing down on the Black Bear King, quickly. The Black Bear King's expression finally changed as he let out a terrified cry. However, he found that he could barely move his body. There was a mysterious power in the void that had completely shackled him. At this moment, his eyes finally revealed a look of fear. One had to know that it was no ordinary Demon King. Its strength was extremely terrifying. So many demon kings joined forces, and they were unable to kill it. But now, this little human in front of him was a threat. Those lights were like divine clouds, illuminating the entire void. Good stuff! Lin Xian's heart was also beating wildly. With a wave of his hand, he held the dragon crystal in his hand. Presumably, the demon kings outside were fighting over this dragon crystal. We can't stay here for long. Let's hurry up and leave. Lin Xian said quickly. The Crimson Dragon nodded. He knew that the tremors here had already alarmed the other monster kings in the forest. It would not be long before those powerful monster kings arrived. 1 or 2 of them would be fine, but if there were a few more, they would not be able to leave at all. Therefore, the 2 of them did not hesitate and quickly moved and left this place. Sure enough, not long after they left, a few huge figures appeared nearby again. Each of them was incomparably terrifying. Their killing intent was monstrous, stirring up the wind and clouds. In the end, even the 6-armed ape from that day appeared. With a stomp of its golden feet, the entire ground trembled. Countless birds quickly soared into the sky. The surrounding wild beasts trembled, and all fell to the ground. Even though Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had left for a long time, they could still vaguely hear the angry roars. Exciting, it was too exciting. If they were any later, they would not be able to leave at all. They might not even be able to obtain this incomparably precious dragon crystal. This thing must not be known to others. Otherwise, it would attract endless disaster. Therefore, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon planned to absorb it first. After finding a relatively remote mountain range, Lin Xian used his sword qi to open a cave abode. Then the Crimson Dragon set up several formations and directly covered the entire cave abode. In the next moment, Lin Xian took out the fist-sized dragon crystal. Chapter 1729. After finding a relatively remote mountain range, Lin Xian used his sword qi to open up a cave abode. Then the Crimson Dragon set up several formations and covered the entire cave abode. In the next moment, Lin Xian took out the fist-sized dragon crystal. He placed the dragon crystal on the ground. Then the Crimson Dragon began to set up a spirit gathering formation. Through the formation, the dragon crystal's power was transferred to the two of them. In this way, it could speed up their absorption. Soon, the dragon crystal emitted a bright light, forming rays of light that surrounded Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. If someone saw this scene, they would go crazy. This was a rare treasure. Everyone would go crazy. Even Almighties would be no exception. But now, this thing belonged to Lin Xian. Feeling the rich power around him, Lin Xian did not hesitate. He quickly used the longevity chant to absorb the energy inside. The rays of light in the sky seemed to be attracted and rushed into Lin Xian's body. For a time, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon both entered a state of cultivation. In the blink of an eye, a night had passed. The fist-sized dragon crystal had shrunk by half. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's bodies were completely enveloped by the bright rays of light. They were like two jade cocoons emitting a hazy light. Another 3 days passed. The entire cave abode was surrounded by rays of light, and the dragon crystal was still the size of a walnut. At the side, the Crimson Dragon opened his eyes, and the aura on his body suddenly erupted. He had successfully recovered to a 4-star king. Therefore, he did not absorb any more energy. Instead, his body swayed and he retreated. On the other side, Lin Xian was still cultivating. The light on his body became more and more vigorous, and his aura became more and more powerful. However, he was still a 3-star king and did not break through. After another 2 days, the dragon crystal became the size of a fingernail, and its light became extremely dim. Most of the energy inside had been absorbed by Lin Xian. Lin Xian also opened his eyes. His eyes were incomparably sharp, and his aura was much stronger than before. Moreover, his combat power had also increased tremendously. However, his cultivation remained at the 3-star king realm. Lin Xian sighed as he looked at the dull dragon crystal. He knew that he needed a lot of energy to break through, but he didn't expect that he would need so much. An incomparably precious dragon crystal was actually unable to help him break through. One had to admit that the great dragon sword soul was truly terrifying. If it were any other king, they would have broken through long ago. But Lin Xian actually forcibly did not break through. However, his combat power had greatly increased. Now, even if he were to encounter a genius cultivator like Guo Chuanfei from the Holy Land, he would be able to kill him even without launching a sneak attack. Moreover, ordinary Holy Land cultivators were no match for him. Perhaps only those top genius Holy Land cultivators were worthy of fighting him. At the side, the Crimson Dragon also said, "Kid, don't be discouraged. The great dragon sword soul is extremely terrifying. If you break through to become a 4-star king, your battle prowess will be heaven-defying and terrifying. The problem is that the energy required is too much." Lin Xian also knew this, so he decided to set off again. This was because he believed that there must be other dragon crystals in this forest. As long as he could find another one, he would definitely be able to break through. Next, Xian and the Crimson Dragon continued to search this primeval forest. But one had to admit that this forest was really too big. It was boundless like a green ocean. Moreover, The monster kings here were too terrifying. They had encountered a few in the past few days, and their strength was not inferior to the six-armed divine ape at all. It could be said that they were terrifying. Even now, Lin Xian and the others had to take a detour. This was because in front of them was an extremely terrifying lair of a monster king. Just the demonic aura at the edge of the lair alone made Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's scalps tingle. Even if an almighty came, they probably would not dare to enter this place easily. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon did not want to cause trouble, so they took a detour. In the end, after half a day, Lin Xian found a waterfall in front of them. Near the waterfall, there was actually a bamboo house. The bamboo house was very exquisite, and even the bamboo on it was emitting a faint glow. Obviously, the bamboo house was not built with ordinary bamboo. There was a grassland near the bamboo house, where countless flowers grew. It was surrounded by a bamboo forest. It was a peaceful scene. Seeing that bamboo house, Lin Xian slowed down, and his expression was extremely solemn, because a bamboo house meant that there were humans. However, he did not know if they were primitive residents or foreign martial artists from the sections. Sure enough, not long after, a figure walked out of the bamboo house. It was a young man. He was tall and handsome. However, there was a coldness between his eyebrows, which made people tremble all over. The young man was wearing a 5-colored robe that flickered with a luster. Someone from the 5 Elements sect. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian frowned. He did not expect to meet someone from the 5 Elements sect here. However, the next moment he was even more shocked, because another figure walked out of the bamboo house. This figure was very familiar. It was the half-demon woman from the Demon Imperial Palace, Zhao Tianxia, who had fought with him before. However, he did not expect that Zhao Tianxia would walk together with someone from the 5 Elements sect. Zhao Tianxia and the handsome man exchanged a few words, and then entered the bamboo house again. The young man was still standing in front, as if waiting for something. Lin Xian was curious and did not know what they were doing. Therefore, he and the Crimson Dragon hid their auras and quietly squatted to the side. He wanted to see what Zhao Tianxia wanted to do. Not long after, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the front, and then 2 figures quickly rushed over from afar. Soon, they arrived near the bamboo house. They were also 2 young disciples. The 2 of them appeared and quickly bowed to the handsome young man. The handsome young man asked in a deep voice, "How is it? Did you find out? The Sea of Death is very terrifying. I'm afraid that less than 1/10 of the people can come to this continent. Anyway, those who could come to this continent were not weak." The 2 disciples quickly said. After hearing this, the handsome young man nodded slightly. Those ordinary, rogue, cultivators probably can't reach it. However, those peerless giants, peerless sacred grounds, and the clan of the ancients are not to be trifled with. They won't die in the Sea of Death. They will definitely reach it. However, they haven't appeared yet. I wonder what they are doing. The handsome young man frowned slightly. Then he turned to look at the bamboo house behind him, and a glint appeared in his eyes. That peerless face is really rare in this world. If I can take her in, it will be a happy thing. The handsome young man whispered. After hearing this, the 2 young disciples behind him laughed. "Senior brother, with your means, it will be easy if you want her." Chapter 1730. The 2 young disciples behind him laughed and said, "Senior brother, with your methods, it's easy if you want it." The handsome young man smiled when he heard this. "You should know that I like to do things willingly. I heard that Miss Xiao has a strong enemy on the island. If we can kill him, Miss Xiao might throw herself into his arms." The other 2 disciples laughed when they heard this. "Don't worry, senior brother. He's just a small warrior. How can he fight against our 5 Elements sect? As long as we find that kid, we'll tear him to pieces." Their conversation was completely captured by Lin Xian. His face darkened when he heard this. From the looks of it, these people were from the Five Elements sect, and in order to curry favor with Zhao Tianxia, they wanted to take his life. Humph, they're really obsessed. Lin Xian snorted and quietly retreated. With Zhao Tianxia's personality, even if these people from the Five Elements sect succeeded, she would not throw herself into his arms. Instead, she would suck their blood essence dry. More importantly, Lin Xian wasn't going to sit around and wait for his death. He had absorbed the power of the dragon crystal, and his strength had increased greatly. Even if these people from the Five Elements sect outnumbered him, he would not be fearless. Since these people dared to target him, they would have to pay the price. Lin Xian would not hesitate to make a move, but he would not be rash either. The Five Elements sect was an unparalleled sect. The handsome young man in front of him must be a genius in the Five Elements sect. Moreover, there were many disciples of the Five Elements sect around him. Therefore, Lin Xian had to figure out the number of warriors on the other side. Other than Zhao Tianxia, the handsome young man, and the two disciples in front of him, there were 4 more disciples of the Five Elements sect hiding in the surroundings. Presumably, these people were guarding in secret. Fortunately, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were not careless. Otherwise, they would have been discovered by the 4 hidden warriors. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to take action and get rid of the 4 people in the dark first. Lin Xian, the Crimson Dragon, the Snow White Monkey, and the 2 sword shadows moved quickly. The assassination this time had to be a one-hit kill. They could not give the other party a chance to call for help. Lin Xian was the first to act. He executed the heavenly dragon's 8 steps silently like a ghost. The 9 underworld demonic sword in his hand released a cold light. In an instant, he arrived near a hidden martial artist. He waved his long sword, and the sword light flashed. With the sword piercing his vitals, the hidden martial artist's eyes widened. He wanted to make a sound, but he found that he couldn't. Plop! That martial artist fell to the ground. Then Lin Xian flicked his finger, and a black flame surged out, instantly incinerating that martial artist. Not a single drop of blood was left in the sky. At the same time, the other 3 parties also made their moves. The Crimson Dragon had just broken through to become a 4-star king. He was very powerful, so he killed the other party easily. On the other hand, the Snow White little monkey cooperated with the 2 sword deity phantoms and also silently killed the other 2 hidden warriors. In an instant, the hidden martial artists around the bamboo house were all killed by Lin Xian. Next, it was the 5-star sect's martial artists in front. In the next moment, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon looked at each other, and then they quickly made their moves. A shocking sword chi, a terrifying dragon claw, and 2 sword god shadows quickly killed their way forward. This change was very sudden. In fact, the Five Elements sect's martial artists in front did not even react. In an instant, these terrifying attacks arrived in front of them. One of the disciples did not react at all. Under the attack of this energy, he directly exploded. However, the handsome young man quickly retreated with the other person. Not good, senior brother. There's an assassination. The disciple's face turned ugly. The handsome young man's face was also cold. Men, kill him. In the end, it was quiet all around, and there was no response at all. Stop shouting. They've already gone to hell. You'll join them soon. Hearing this, the handsome young man and the other disciples' faces turned ugly. Not good. Our people have been killed. Damn it, who are you? How dare you attack my Five Elements sect? If I don't attack you, should I wait for you to attack me? Lin Xian sneered and appeared in front of them with the Crimson Dragon. It's you. You're that damn thief. The handsome young man's face turned gloomy when he saw Lin Xian. He naturally knew that this was the powerful enemy that Zhao Tianxia had mentioned, and also the target that he was going to kill next. However, he did not expect that the other party would attack before him. Good boy, I didn't go looking for you, but I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come here. How dare you kill my 5 elements sex people? You really deserve to die. Kneel down and accept your death obediently, and I can give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. The handsome young man sneered, and his face regained his confidence. This was because he had already seen 3 figures in the distance, and they were rushing towards them quickly. They were the disciples of the 5-element sect. The other person also laughed. Ha, there's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it, so you barge in. Since you dare to kill my 5-element sex people, today will be the day you die. Kill. Seeing that there were more people coming, Lin Xian frowned, but in the next moment he decisively attacked. His entire body turned into a terrifying sword light, and he quickly rushed forward. At the same time, the dragon sword field was released, and it quickly expanded, forming a terrifying sword principal world. With a stab of the sword, the world lost its color. What? So powerful! The 5-elements sex disciple turned pale with fright, and even the handsome young man's face turned solemn. He did not expect that the other party would have such a terrifying sword chi. However, as a genius of the 5-element sect, he was not a useless person, so he immediately shouted and attacked with all his strength. A dazzling brilliance burst out from his hands. Boundless divine power surged out, forming 2 yellow mountains that pressed down viciously. Boom! The void trembled as the 2 yellow mountains collided with the dazzling sword light, and a huge explosion occurred. However, Lin Xian's sword chi was too powerful, and it finally tore the 2 yellow mountains apart. However, this also gave the handsome young man a chance. His body swayed, and he once again retreated to a safe distance. At the same time, a figure flashed out from the bamboo house, and Zhao Tianxie also came out. When she saw Lin Xian, she immediately gnashed her teeth. Damn thief! How dare you chase after me? Miss Zhao, don't worry. Let's work together and kill him. Moreover, we have the advantage in numbers. This kid won't be able to escape today. Okay. Zhao Tianxie revealed a cruel smile. Chapter 1731. What? You want to bully me with numbers? Come. Ben Huang will teach you a lesson. Little girl, come here. Let this king teach you how to behave. The crimson dragon pointed at Zhao Tianxie with his claws and sneered. Damn snake, you're courting death. As a genius disciple of the Demon Emperor Palace, she had never been provoked like this. Therefore, she moved her palm, which turned into a silver ray of light, and slapped at the crimson dragon. The crimson dragon laughed, without fear. His body flickered, and he dodged like a red bolt of lightning. At the same time, he waved his dragon claws, forming a strong gust of wind that swept across the sky. At the same time, he said loudly, Kid, leave this little girl to me. As he spoke, he raised his hands and formed 2 arrays, which enveloped the 3 martial artists flying over from afar. Seeing that the crimson dragon had temporarily restrained Zhao Tianxie and trapped the 3 people who came to help, Lin Xian smiled. It seems that your numbers won't work. Lin Xian looked at the handsome man in front of him and said coldly. The handsome man, Li Wei, had a gloomy expression. He did not expect that the 4-legged snake beside him would have such strength. He was able to restrain Zhao Tianxie. Not only that, but the people he came to help were also trapped by the array. It seemed that they would not be able to break it in a short time. However, he still sneered. Kid, do you think you can beat me in a one-on-one fight? You're too naive. I'll let you know the power of the Pentaphase sect. Then he turned to the martial artist beside him and said, Go and help them break the array. Yes, senior brother. The disciple quickly moved to help the three people behind him. Only Lin Xian and Li Wei of the Penaface sect were left in the field. With a cold snort, Li Wei's body emitted a strong light that swept in all directions like a stormy sea. The powerful aura caused the entire void to tremble. In the next moment, he punched out. Li Wei's movements were not very fast, but that power was abnormally terrifying. It was like a sea flying in the air. The wind was strong and mighty, and the blue light was like a wave, surging forward violently. That berserk aura was as unstoppable as before. Lin Xian also felt the pressure. He realized that this fist was like the sea, boundless and incomparably vast. Even though it was only a single punch, it had sealed off all paths of retreat. As for him, he could only face it head-on. However, Lin Xian would not be afraid even if he were to face them head-on. He shouted coldly and punched out as well. The Armageddon Black Dragon Fist surged forward with a violent aura. The black dragon roared and strong winds blew, as if it wanted to tear everything apart. Boom! In the next moment, the two terrifying fists collided, and a terrifying storm swept out in all directions. The two of them were locked in a stalemate in the air, flashing nonstop. On the other side, Li Wei's expression was solemn. He did not expect that his opponent would be able to block his punch. Therefore, his face became a little gloomy, and he increased his strength again, punching out quickly. Explode! The void exploded in an instant, and the blue waves turned into a substantial sea, covering the sky and covering the earth. It was like a real sea, and it was incomparably terrifying. The blue light that filled the sky instantly shrouded the black fist shadows. The void trembled rapidly, and the ground cracked. Terrifying cracks appeared and spread into the distance. Those black fist shadows were completely engulfed in an instant. Seeing the scene, Li Wei laughed wildly. "Kid, no matter how powerful you are, you can't resist my 5-element fist." 5-element fist. Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He had to admit that his opponent's fist technique was indeed terrifying. It should be one of the 5-element sect's unique techniques. Lin Xian's guess was right. It was indeed a unique technique. The 5-element fist contained the 5 elements of metal: wood, water, fire, and earth. The blue fist earlier was the water element fist of the 5-element fist. It was extremely terrifying and could devour everything. It could be said that Li Wei definitely had the right to be arrogant. "Kid, provoking me is the biggest mistake you've made in your life. Today I'll let you know what regret is." Li Wei sneered and waved his fist again. The blue light was extremely vast, covering the entire sky. It was like countless thousands of feet of sea waves rushing down. "Watch me break your 5-element fist." Lin Xian also let out a long roar, and his eyes shone brightly. The aura on his body became incomparably violent again, as if he was the king of destruction. Thunderbolt Dragon. He waved his fists, and 2 black dragons with countless lightning bolts rushed into the sky. Boom, boom, boom. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if 2 giant dragons were rampaging in the boundless sea. Their huge bodies rushed forward, tearing everything apart. The black lightning even penetrated the sea that filled the sky. This scene was like a raging dragon coming out of the sea. In the end, the sea that filled the sky and the huge dragon shadows disappeared together in the sky. The fierce wind between heaven and earth also quickly dissipated. Lin Xian and Li Wei's figures appeared in front of him again. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered, and his eyes shone brightly. The blood in his body surged, and the dragon's sword soul quickly awakened. To be honest, he had not met such an opponent for a long time. The person in front of him seemed to be even more terrifying than Guo Chuanfei. Such an opponent was worthy of his full strength. On the other side, Li Wei's face was gloomy. He did not expect that the opponent could resist his water element fist. It was really shocking. It was hard to believe that the opponent, a rogue cultivator, could reach such a level. However, he had already decided that he must kill the opponent today, or else it would be a disaster in the future. He, Li Wei, would not leave such a threat alive. With a cold snort, Li Wei's aura rose again, and at the same time, the water blue turned into a fiery red. A terrifying flame aura rushed out, covering the entire space. He threw out a punch, and flames surged in the sky, turning into countless flames that swept forward. Fire Element Fist. After the Water Element Fist, Li Wei performed the Fire Element Fist. This Fire Element Fist was even more terrifying. The heat wave that filled the sky seemed to swallow the sky, burning everything. In an instant, Lin Xian's black fists were all burning. Humph! Lin Xian snorted, and the sword qi on his body soared into the sky, turning into a sharp sword light that slashed forward. The terrifying sword light swept in all directions, suppressing the flames. What? It can actually suppress my Fire Element Fist. When Li Wei saw this scene, he was extremely shocked. His Fire Element Fist was incomparably terrifying. Ordinary 6-star kings could not resist it. However, the opponent's sword light was so strange that it could actually suppress his Fire Element Fist. In fact, even the flames that filled the sky started to dim. Damn it! Li Wei shouted coldly, and his fists changed again. The flames in the sky disappeared, and majestic mountains appeared. They collapsed in all directions, carrying a violent force as they fell mercilessly. Earth Element Fist. When this fist technique was performed, Li Wei's fists became incomparably heavy. They were like ancient demonic mountains that kept falling. Chapter 1732. Earth Element Fist. Li Wei's fists became extremely heavy as soon as he used this fist technique. It was as if many ancient demonic mountains were descending continuously. Those majestic mountains were indeed extremely terrifying. The sword light in the sky was bent from the pressure. This scene was too terrifying. The entire space sank as it could not withstand this power. Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. He used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps. His figure was like a ghost as he constantly changed his position. He quickly dodged those terrifying mountains. Between heaven and earth, the void trembled. The earthy yellow light was extremely heavy, as if the 9 heavens' divine mountains had descended to the mortal world. That weight gave Lin Xian a great sense of danger. It was as if it wanted to completely suppress him. Dragon Shadow Rampage. Lin Xian used the Apocalypse Black Dragon Fist again and used a terrifying technique. Boundless black dragon shadows quickly appeared, roaring in the void, and then rushed into the sky. Giant dragon-carrying mountains. One after another, huge black dragons spiraled into the sky, lifting up the huge mountains in the sky and charging straight into the clouds. That incomparably terrifying fist of earth was also neutralized by this move. This scene made Li Wei's expression even more ugly. The other party had given him too many surprises. He was clearly a small, rogue cultivator, not a martial artist from any top sect. However, he was able to break his 5-element fist. It was indeed unbelievable. Not only was the other party's sword qi incomparably sharp, but his fist technique was even more violent, as if it could destroy everything in time. He had never heard of such a fist technique before. Indeed, very few people could master the Apocalypse Black Dragon Fist. If Lin Xian did not have the great dragon sword soul, he would not have been able to master such a terrifying fist technique. However, after fighting for so long, how could he stop now? Therefore, he shouted coldly and attacked again ruthlessly. Metal Element Fist. Golden light shone in the sky, enveloping the entire world. Li Wei's aura became incomparably sharp at this moment. It was as if he was the god of war. Between heaven and earth, there was golden light everywhere. It was like a golden sword that swept in all directions. It was overwhelming and incomparably sharp. Like a divine weapon, it charged towards Lin Xian. This was the metal element fist. Once it was used, it was incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian's expression also turned grave when he felt this sharp aura. He was not careless at all. He quickly formed a seal with his palms, and a golden heavenly rock also rushed out. The heavenly pung grew bigger with the wind and filled the void. Its entire body shone with golden light. Not only that, those golden feathers turned into countless sharp sword qis at this moment, crisscrossing the area. 108,000 swords. The terrifying sword light was like a surging river gushing down. It collided with his opponent's fist of metal. Boom! The collision between the two caused a huge collision in the void. Countless bolts of lightning continuously descended. These two terrifying energies clashed with each other, causing terrifying cracks to appear in the void one after another. This scene was too frightening. Even the 5 Elements sect martial artists who were fighting in the distance had a drastic change in expression. Zhao Tianxie was also paying close attention with a solemn expression. Li Wei's face darkened. He did not expect his opponent's sword qi to be so sharp, even surpassing his fist of metal. He couldn't believe it. One had to know that he was very confident in his fist of metal. It was a fist technique with extremely terrifying spiritual energy. Once it was used, it could even kill an ordinary 6-star king. But now, it was unable to shatter his opponent's sword qi. Damn it, I don't believe it. Break! Li Wei roared crazily, and the golden light on his body shone even brighter. Suddenly, golden fists appeared in the void one after another. They carried terrifying energy and fiercely blasted toward Lin Xian. The violent energy shook violently, shattering everything in the surroundings. Lin Xian also let out a long roar, and the sword qi on his body became even sharper. 108,000 swords, each extremely terrifying. They were like real dragons roaring in the void. Boom! 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 The entire space was completely pierced by the terrifying sword qi. Boom! Li Wei's face changed drastically. He felt incomparable pain all over his body, as if a mountain had crashed into him. He kept retreating. Every time he took a step back, a huge crack would appear on the ground. After retreating for more than 10 steps, the entire ground was completely cracked by him. There were even a few sword scars on his body. It was extremely terrifying. On the other side, Lin Xian stood tall and straight. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and he was completely unharmed. Seeing this scene, Zhao Tianxie and the other 5 Elements sect disciples in the distance all paled. They did not expect Li Wei to be at a disadvantage in this battle. This was simply too unbelievable. One had to know that Li Wei was a genius martial artist of their 5 Element sect. He had even killed a 6-star king before. His strength could be said to be extremely terrifying, but they did not expect him to be suppressed now. Li Wei's face was even more ferocious. Damn it, impossible. How can his sword qi be so powerful? It can actually break my metal element fist. He gritted his teeth, unable to believe what was happening in front of him. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, I have to say that the 5 Element fist is indeed extremely powerful. It's an ultimate technique that can pierce through heaven and earth. But it's a pity that you haven't mastered it. So, you'll definitely lose this battle. Impudent. Damn brat, you're too arrogant. Don't think that you can win just because you've suppressed me. Let me tell you, I still have an ultimate move. Li Wei roared angrily. His opponent actually said that he had not mastered the 5 Element fist. This was really infuriating. In the next moment, he used the 5 Element fist again and attacked wildly. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the dragon's sword realm directly enveloped his opponent. Thousands of terrifying sword chi crisscrossed. It turned into a silver river and blasted his opponent's body. Poof! Not long after, Li Wei's body was sent flying again, crashing into a mountain in the distance. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and there were many sword wounds on his body. His hair was disheveled, and he looked extremely miserable. Damn brat, just you wait. Li Wei gritted his teeth, feeling indignant. But this time he did not attack. Instead, he turned around and fled into the distance. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to Zhao Tianxia, asking him to leave with him. Humph! Zhao Tianxia's face was extremely ugly. He did not expect Li Wei to run away. However, he also quickly retreated, because now he was no match for Lin Xian. The two of them fled quickly. At the same time, they attacked wildly, shattering the array set up by the Crimson Dragon. He led the remaining 4 disciples of the 5-element sect and fled into the distance. Trying to escape, Lin Xian sneered. Then he moved and chased after Lin Xian. The Crimson Dragon also laughed strangely, waved his dragon's power, and followed. Ha 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 ha, little girl, now you know how powerful Ben Huang is. If you obediently become Ben Huang's human pets, maybe Ben Huang will be in a good mood and let you go. Otherwise, you're dead meat. He yelled and screamed like an old monster. Chapter 1733. Be obedient and be Ben Huang's human pets. Maybe Ben Huang will let you go if he's in a good mood. Otherwise, you're dead. He yelled and screamed like an old monster. Zhao Tianxia, who was in front of him, was furious. Her legs went soft, and she almost fell. Ah, damn you, snake! I'll catch you and tear you to pieces. Zhao Tianxia roared madly, but he did not dare to stay. In the next moment, they entered a dense forest and disappeared. Lin Xian's figure flashed as he used the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. However, he found that this forest was too strange. He could not accurately capture the other party's tracks. This primeval forest was very mysterious. There was even a faint purple mist surrounding it. Not only did the mist block one's vision, it also interfered with soul power. Therefore, after entering this forest, Li Wei and the others had completely disappeared. Lin Xian frowned, but he still followed. He had to deal with Zhao Tianxia today. Otherwise, who knew how many more enemies she would bring to him in the future. Therefore, he and the Crimson Dragon walked inside. At first, he found some monsters nearby. He even witnessed a battle with his own eyes. A 20-meter-long crocodile with a murderous aura was hiding in the swamp. It suddenly dragged a white jade elephant into the swamp. The white jade elephant struggled crazily, causing the ground to tremble, but it could not break free. Soon, the violent tremors disappeared. The white jade elephant was killed, and its blood dyed the ground red. This set off the danger of this forest even more. Roar! Suddenly, a crocodile stretched out from the ground and bit at Lin Xian. The situation was exactly the same as before. Humph! Lin Xian snorted. He was not the white jade elephant. He would not be dragged into the swamp. His right leg kicked out like a coiling dragon. Boom! A violent vibration sounded. Even the ground was shaking. The mutated crocodile was kicked away. Seeing this, the surrounding crocodiles that wanted to attack suddenly stopped. It seemed that the human in front of him was not to be trifled with. They had plenty of food if they wanted, so there was no need to get into trouble. Therefore, these crocodiles all walked away. Lin Xian coldly snorted and set off again. Gradually, he frowned because he realized that the purple mist around him was getting thicker and thicker. Even the air seemed to have a corrosive quality. With a wave of his hand, streams of sword chi revolved around his body, resisting the corrosion. On the side, the Crimson Dragon's blood also surged, and a layer of red light rose from its body. Kid, be careful. The yin chi here is heavy. I'm afraid there are some undead creatures here. Lin Xian nodded with a solemn expression. This was not the first time he had seen such a place. Back in Feng Mountain, he had seen a similar environment. In such an environment, it was most likely for those kinds of undead creatures to appear. For example, zombies and skeletons. I'm afraid there will be some here as well. After all, there are killings every day in this primeval forest, and there are corpses of demonic beasts everywhere. In addition, in this environment, it would be strange if there were no zombies or skeletons. Sure enough, as he walked forward, he found a pile of skeletons floating in front of him. The small ones were 3 to 4 meters long, and the big ones were 20 to 30 meters long. These skeletons were scattered on the ground, and it seemed that they had been there for a long time. Lin Xian stepped on them, and they immediately turned into a pile of white powder and blended into the swamp. Gradually, the surroundings darkened. The crimson dragon shrunk its neck. Kid, let's leave. This place is dark. I'm afraid there will be changes at night. Besides, those people from the 5 Elements sect have entered here. I'm afraid they might not be able to leave. Okay. Lin Xian nodded. He also felt that the atmosphere was a little heavy. Therefore, he did not want to stay in this place for too long. The two of them turned around and were about to leave. However, at this moment, an angry roar came from afar, followed by a low voice. There was a battle. Lin Xian frowned, but the crimson dragon's eyes lit up. Judging by the voice, it should be humans. Could it be those people from the 5 Elements sect? Let's go take a look. Originally, the two of them had already left, but they did not expect to find new clues. Anyway, the distance was not far for them, so they might as well go take a look. If it was really the people from the 5 Elements sect, then they would take care of them. The next moment, the two of them moved happily and ran forward. Sure enough, it was the people from the 5 Elements sect in front of them. They were fighting a group of skeletons. These skeletons had strange shapes, but without exception, they were all made of bones. Although they were skeletons, their speed was extremely fast. They were like white lightning, constantly attacking the people from the 5 Elements sect. The people from the 5 Elements sect roared and counterattacked, colliding with the opponent's attack and making a low sound. Humph! In front, Li Wei's face was gloomy. He roared, and the 5 Elements fist rushed out quickly. Monstrous flames appeared, illuminating the sky. A fiery red fist fiercely blasted forward, sending a pile of skeletons flying. Furthermore, the power of the flames they carried with them was burning them. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also waved his finger, and rays of silver light pierced through the void like the spears of gods and demons. They pierced through the skeletons. With the help of these two experts, the skeletons were quickly defeated. However, they were not happy because the surrounding swamp fluctuated again. 6 figures crawled out from the ground again. This time it was no longer skeletons, but zombies. The 6 zombies were incomparably tall. Their faces were ferocious, and their bodies emitted a terrifying aura. The clothes on their bodies were very old and tattered. As soon as the 6 zombies appeared, they roared and pounced crazily at the people from the 5 Elements sect. Get lost! Li Wei roared and directly rushed out with a fire element fist, sending one of the zombies flying. However, what was shocking was that the zombie that was sent flying stood up again, and the clothes on its body were even more tattered. However, it was not injured. What? How is this possible? The people from the 5 Elements sect were extremely shocked, and their scalps went numb. That was the fire element fist. It was very terrifying, and even a 6-star king would not be able to withstand it. However, the zombie in front of them was unharmed? This was simply too unbelievable. On the other side, Zhao Tianxia also roared. The silver light turned into sharp saber lights and slashed the surrounding zombies, making clanging sounds. Sparks flew in all directions, and the void shook, but it did not have much effect. The silver light only left shallow, white marks on the zombies' bodies. It could not penetrate them at all. Damn it, how could this be? Everyone's faces were ugly. Chapter 1734. Damn it, how could this be? I can't pierce through them. Impossible. How can they be so powerful? Everyone's faces were ugly. They discovered that these 6 zombies were much more terrifying than the skeletal creatures from before. The other party's attacks were not particularly fierce, and their speed was not particularly fast either. However, that defense was simply too strong. It was as if their bones were made of divine gold and iron, and they were not damaged at all. Therefore, the people of the 5-element sect were so angry that they roared crazily. To be honest, Lin Xian, who was hiding in the dark and observing, was also extremely shocked. He had experienced the power of the fist of fire before. That valiant power shocked him to the core. Moreover, he knew that even a 6-star king might not be able to resist it. However, these zombies were not harmed at all. It was indeed shocking. However, soon the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. That was because he had already decided to attack. In front of him, the people of the 5-element sect were fighting with the 6 zombies. The commotion was extremely terrifying. However, suddenly, Li Wei frowned because his heart was beating wildly as if he had a bad premonition. In the next moment, his figure retreated rapidly. However, at this moment, the void where he was originally standing was directly cut open, and a black crack appeared. Terrifying killing, intent spread out in all directions, as if ice had arrived. He actually dodged it. Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand and appeared. To be honest, he was also extremely surprised. He did not expect the other party to be so vigilant. Damn, Brett, it's actually you. When Li Wei saw the other party, his expression immediately became extremely ugly. He did not expect the other party to still chase after him. Moreover, he chose this moment to attack. Fortunately, he reacted quickly enough just now. Otherwise, he would have been severely injured by now. Even so, his expression was still very ugly. However, soon the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Originally, he was already having a headache because of the 6 zombies. Now that the other party was here, he could shift the trouble away. He would let the detestable thief in front of him fight with the 6 zombies. Meanwhile, they could calmly retreat. However, he soon realized that his idea would not work at all. That was because the other party's speed was too fast. It was so fast that it made his heart palpitate. Therefore, not only did he not shift the blame, he even had to endure the combined attacks of the zombies and Lin Xian. For a moment, his situation became even more dangerous. 1. A wisp of sword light like autumn water, incomparably sharp, directly slashed down from the sky. Seeing this, Li Wei quickly retreated, wanting to retreat. However, at the same time, 2 sword gods appeared behind him and quickly attacked. In addition, he was surrounded by zombies, so he couldn't escape at all. He could only take it head-on. Puff! However, he still underestimated these 2 sword god phantoms. At this moment, the 2 sword god phantoms were incomparably sharp. They were like 2 heavenly blades that directly injured Li Wei. Immediately, blood spurted out. Li Wei roared madly as his entire body slowed down. However, at this moment, the 3 zombies in front of him smelled the fresh blood and rushed over in a frenzy. 6 terrifying palms ruthlessly slapped Li Wei's body. Pung pung pung. An earth-shattering collision sound rang out, and Li Wei's body was once again sent flying, smashing into the ground, creating an incomparably terrifying crater. Senior brother. Seeing this scene, the remaining 5 elements sect disciples hurriedly ran over. On the other hand, Zhao Tianxia's face was gloomy. In the end, her eyes flickered as she gritted her teeth and snorted coldly. Her body turned into a silver light and fled into the distance. She didn't care about the 5 elements sect anymore. Seeing the scene, Li Wei was so angry that he vomited blood. His already heavily injured body became even more serious. He didn't expect Zhao Tianxia to flee at the last minute. He couldn't believe it. Originally, he didn't have any enmity with Lin Xian. He only wanted to kill Lin Xian to win Zhao Tianxia's favor. However, he didn't expect Zhao Tianxia to flee. He couldn't believe it at all. Ignorant fellow. You don't even know that you've been used. Lin Xian snorted coldly. At the same time, he ordered the dark flood dragon god to chase after Zhao Tianxia. As for himself, he was keeping an eye on the Five Elements sect disciples. On the other side, Li Wei's expression was very ugly. He swallowed a few pills and quickly healed his injuries. At the same time, with the help of a few people, he kept fighting. This was because the surrounding zombies were attacking again. As he dodged, Li Wei yelled crazily, "Stop, stop fighting. I have no enmity with you. Previously I was possessed. I actually believed that bitch's words and became your enemy. Now that I know what kind of person that B*TCH is, I won't be your enemy anymore. Why don't we stop here and shake hands and make peace? I know that you have a grudge with that B*TCH. As long as you let us go, I promise that the Five Elements sect will help you catch the B*TCH and tear her into pieces." His words were very sincere, but Lin Xian could see the killing intent in his eyes. He immediately sneered. "You don't have to worry about who I have a grudge with. However, will the Five Elements sect really help me? Don't think that I don't know what you sect disciples are thinking. I'm afraid that if I let you go today, you'll lead a group of Five Elements sect experts to hunt me down tomorrow. I won't leave any trouble for myself. Damn it." Seeing that Lin Xian didn't believe him, Li Wei's face turned even uglier. He didn't expect that Lin Xian wouldn't let him go. He gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, you have to think carefully. I'm a genius disciple of the Five Elements sect. If anything happens to me, the Five Elements sect won't let you go." Lin Xian sneered. "What? You want to use force when you can't persuade me? Do you think that this kind of threat will work on me? Since you dare to have ideas about me, you'll have to pay the price." After saying that, Lin Xian didn't say anything else. The sword aura on his body became even sharper. With a wave of his hand, the dragon's sword realm flew out and completely enveloped the other party. He didn't attack directly. Instead, he coordinated with the attacks of the 6 zombies and continuously slashed out sword aura. The 6 zombies were extremely powerful and forced the Five Elements sect to retreat. In addition, Lin Xian's sword aura put them in danger. Not long after, those people were seriously injured. 2 of them were even directly pierced by the sword aura. "Damn, kid, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost." At the last moment, Li Wei roared crazily and burned his spiritual power without caring about the consequences. Then, 5 different elemental lights appeared around him, circling around him and enveloping him. It was obvious that he was going to risk his life. He was going to burn his power at all costs and escape from this place. However, how could Lin Xian let him go? In the next moment, Lin Xian's eyes burst with light. Rays of golden light shot out from his eyes, accompanied by mysterious Tao patterns. These eyes, this is. Chapter 1735. These eyes, this is. When Li Wei saw Lin Xian's golden eyes, his scalp went numb. It was as if he had seen a ghost. He was a genius of the Five Elements sect, so he naturally knew about the heavenly secret divine eyes that had caused an uproar a while ago. Moreover, he had also heard about the legends of these divine eyes. However, he had never imagined that he would discover such an eye technique in his opponent's eyes. This was simply too shocking. How could his opponent have the heavenly secret divine eyes? Could he be a member of the heavenly secret race? He seemed to have discovered a shocking piece of news. However, in the next moment, his body trembled as he fell into an illusion. With his current soul power, he was unable to resist the illusion of the heavenly secret divine eyes. Puff! On the other side, Li Wei had a sinister expression as he resisted with all his might. However, his body was still in place. In the next moment, Lin Xian used the 9 nether devil sword and a black sword chi sliced his opponent in half. Buzz! The golden light in Lin Xian's eyes disappeared. His figure flickered as he took the opponent's storage ring. He pulled away from the 6 zombies and flew into the distance. The 6 zombies roared again and again. However, in the end, they gave up on chasing Lin Xian. They returned to the corpses of Li Wei and the others and quickly ate them. This scene was extremely terrifying. If someone were to see it, they would definitely scream. However, this was none of Lin Xian's business. He followed the Crimson Dragon's trail and went to kill Zhao Tianxia. Compared to Li Wei, Zhao Tianxia was an even greater threat. This was because Zhao Tianxia knew that he had fought against the people of the 5 Elements sect and the All Beginnings Holy Land. If Zhao Tianxia spread this matter, the All Beginnings Holy Land and the 5 Elements sect would definitely not let him off. Moreover, Zhao Tianxia's charming technique was extremely strange and could confuse those genius cultivators. If this happened, he would have many more enemies. Therefore, he had to get rid of that witch. Before long, Lin Xian met up with the Crimson Dragon. Unfortunately, he did not see Zhao Tianxia's figure. What's going on? Lin Xian asked. That damned girl. She's too strange. I can't believe she got away. The dark red divine dragon was also furious. He ran away? Lin Xian was also shocked. He was well aware of the Crimson Dragon's methods. It was extremely terrifying. Even if it was tracking a powerful being, it would still be able to chase after it. But now he actually managed to escape. One had to admit that Zhao Tianxia was too strange and mysterious. That girl's bloodline is very special, and her regenerative ability is very strong. I'm afraid it won't be easy to catch her. The Crimson Dragon said in a deep voice. After that, the 2 of them searched the area again and found that the other party had completely disappeared. Thus, the 2 of them could only retreat decisively. Since they couldn't find him, they didn't want to stay here any longer. That was because there were zombies and skeletons all around. If they weren't careful, a fight would break out. The 2 of them quickly left the area and found a safe place to hide. The next day, when the sun rose, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon came out again. They realized that after walking around for a while, they had actually arrived near the Golden Beach. However, the beach here wasn't the same as the one they had stopped at previously. Since they were here again, Lin Xian took out a beast corpse from the black earth, and the 2 of them started to roast it. The sun gradually rose, and the sunlight shone over the entire sea. The water rippled, and the sunlight was so bright that it was difficult to open one's eyes. However, amidst the endless sunlight, a figure walked over. Someone's coming. Lin Xian and the Anhui Divine Dragon both had serious expressions on their faces. That was because the people who came last time were Guochuan Fei and the others. After that, they had a huge battle with them. They didn't expect another person to come this time. However, they didn't know which sect this person belonged to. In front of the sea, a white figure walked on the waves. His speed was very fast. With a single step, he could cross 1,000 feet. It was as if he could shrink the ground into an inch. After a few steps, he arrived at the Golden Beach. It was a very handsome man in white. His clothes fluttered in the wind, making him look like an immortal descending to the mortal world. He wasn't old. He was only in his 20s. He seemed to be about the same age as Lin Xian. His eyes were as bright as the stars. The vitality in his body was even more vigorous. It was as if an ancient beast was hibernating in his body. Lin Xian was shocked. The man in white in front of him was definitely extremely powerful. Even he felt a sense of trepidation. When the man in white saw Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, he was also slightly surprised. However, his expression soon calmed down. "You too are?" the man in white asked in a deep voice. He didn't know Lin Xian at all, but he could feel how terrifying he was. That surprised him. One had to know that his background was extremely extraordinary. Moreover, his strength was extremely powerful. There were very few people who could match him in the same realm. However, he didn't expect to meet someone who was about the same age as him and whose strength was unfathomable. Therefore, he was very curious. "I'm Long Xian. I'm a rogue cultivator," Lin Xian said. Now that he was wanted by the Wavering Light Sacred Land, he naturally wouldn't use his real name. "Long Xian," the man in white whispered, as if trying to recall the name. However, he realized that he had never heard of this person. However, that didn't mean that he would underestimate this person. "I'm Yi Wu Dao," the man in white said in a deep voice. "Yi Wu Dao? What a domineering name." Lin Xian was shocked. He realized that this person was indeed surprising. Compared to Guo Chuanfei and the others, he was much stronger. Although he hadn't seen this person's true strength, Lin Xian was certain. To the side, the Crimson Dragon was also shocked. He was shocked that this person's surname was Yi. The surname Yi was not an ordinary surname in the Eastern Wilderness. In the Eastern Wilderness, there was a clan of the ancients with the surname Yi. However, he didn't know if this Yi Wu Dao in front of him was a disciple of a clan of the ancients. "Brother Dragon, may I know if there's anything strange about this land?" Yi Wu Dao asked. He had just arrived, so he naturally wanted to ask about it. Lin Xian saw that Yi Wu Dao didn't have any killing intent towards him, and didn't put on airs either. Therefore, he roughly explained the situation here. He had too many enemies now, and he needed some companions, and this Yi Wu Dao in front of him seemed to be a good person. Therefore, Lin Xian wanted to get closer to him. As the two of them were talking, a few figures flew over from the sea in the distance. These figures had powerful auras and they were very fast. It didn't take long for them to reach the beach. When they arrived on the beach, they began to look around. When they saw the man in white, their expressions changed. They didn't expect him to be here. However, what was even more shocking was that the white-robed young man, Leaf Dao Denier, was standing next to someone else. Chapter 1736. However, what shocked them even more was that the white-clothed youth, Yi Wu Dao, was actually standing side by side with someone else. Who is that person? He's actually standing together with Yi Wu Dao? For a time, those people were shocked. They all looked at Lin Xian, but then they became even more confused. They didn't recognize this person at all. Moreover, they had never heard of this person in the various peak powers. Perhaps he was a genius disciple that those peak powers had secretly raised. These people thought to themselves, because in their opinion, anyone who could stand together with Yi Wu Dao was absolutely not an ordinary person. While these people were sizing up Lin Xian was also sizing them up. This was because he discovered that these people were indeed abnormally strong. Each one of them seemed stronger than people like Li Wei and Guo Chuanfei. Moreover, these people didn't seem very old. They were in their 20s and the oldest was in their 30s. They were all from the younger generation. There was no need to think about it. These were all geniuses of peerless sex and peerless holy lands. This refreshed Lin Xian's opinion of these peak powers. He originally thought that people like Guo Chuanfei and Li Wei would be considered decent geniuses in these peak powers. But now, it seemed that he was far from correct. Every single person here was stronger than Guo Chuanfu and Li Wei. Perhaps those two people from before were only ordinary disciples in their peerless holy lands. Thinking of this, Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. In the next moment, Lin Xian exclaimed in admiration, "What a beautiful woman!" That's right. There was a beautiful voice among the people who had arrived. Her beautiful face was not inferior to Morong Qingqing's. She was definitely an unrivaled beauty. At this time, The people in front of him quickly greeted him. "Brother Yi, I didn't expect to see you here." Yi Wudao nodded. Then he explained to Lin Xian, "Do you see that beautiful woman? She's a genius disciple of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Lu Mingyue. She has a very high chance of becoming the All Beginnings Holy Daughter." Lu Mingyue, a candidate for the Holy Daughter. Hearing this, Lin Xian was also shocked. Firstly, he did not expect the woman in front of him to be so powerful that she was qualified to be the saintess. Furthermore, what shocked him even more was that the other party was actually someone from the All Beginnings Holy Land. One had to know that not long ago he had killed Guo Chuanfei and several other martial artists of the All Beginnings Holy Land. He hadn't expected to run into people from the All Beginnings Holy Land. If news of him leaked out, there would be a battle between the two sides. Other than Lu Mingyue, the others were also very powerful. One of them was even more eye-catching because he was too tall. It was a full 3 meters. The muscles on his body coiled like a dragon, emitting a terrifying aura. It was like a humanoid beast, terrifying to the extreme. According to Yi Wudao's introduction, Lin Xian knew that this powerful youth was a martial artist from the 4 Symbols Holy Lands. His strength was boundless and incomparably terrifying. The other 2 were also disciples of great sections. Among them was a pale-faced youth. When he saw the vast primeval forest in front of him, his eyes lit up. What a beautiful forest! It seems that this place is indeed suitable for me. Lin Xian was stunned. He did not know why the other party said that. However, in the next instant he understood. That was because he saw the pale-faced youth walking forward. Soon after, the tall trees in front of him started to tremble. Many branches and vines came to life at this moment, and all of them quickly extended towards the pale-faced young man. In fact, wherever the youth walked, grass would grow on the ground. There were also unknown flowers. What kind of technique is this? Lin Xian was shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. His name is Yanqing. His domain is the thorned flower domain. It's very special. It belongs to the plant system. It's very special, the white-clothed youth Yi Wudao explained. So that's how it is. Lin Xian nodded after hearing that. He had to admit that these people were too mystical. The pale-faced youth, Yanqing, looked around and said with a smile, "It seems that we aren't too late. There aren't many people in the forest." Indeed, Yi Wudao nodded. However, it won't be long before more experts come here. On the other side, Lu Mingyue said in a sweet voice, "It's easy to come here, but it won't be so easy to leave. I didn't expect there to be indigenous people here. That's a big problem." Lu Mingyue was not only beautiful, but her voice was also very pleasant. Everyone frowned when they heard her words. Indeed, there were indigenous people here. They could be said to be a potential threat, because they did not know when they would make a move. Moreover, they still did not understand how to leave this special, mystic world. Boom! However, at that moment, an earth-shattering sound suddenly came from the sea in the distance. Then, a wave of air exploded and boundless waves slapped in all directions. One of the waves was 1,000 feet tall. It rushed toward Lin Xian as if it wanted to devour them. Humph! The 3-meter-tall youth, Ouyang Foam, snorted and waved his fist. The terrifying power directly shattered the horrifying waves. However, the others frowned because they did not understand what was going on. But soon their eyes widened. Even Yi Wudao, Lin Xian, and the others felt their scalps go numb, because they discovered that there was a battle in front of them. Above the sea in the distance, a fierce battle was going on at this moment. One side of the battle was a human powerhouse. They did not know which sect he was from, but the aura he emitted was abnormally terrifying. His opponent, on the other hand, was a terrifying black octopus. Its body was huge, like a small island, and it emitted an incomparably terrifying demonic aura. The battle between the two was abnormally fierce. Seeing this black octopus, Lin Xian's heart beat wildly, because he had encountered this opponent before. However, he had dodged it quickly. But he did not expect that there would be someone who dared to fight the black octopus, because from what he felt at that time, this black octopus was very terrifying. It was probably at the level of a human almighty. Ordinary martial artists were not its opponent at all. But now, it seemed that the human powerhouse could contend with it. Could it be that an almighty has made a move? The pale blue youth's eyes flickered. It was indeed an almighty. Lu Mingyue's expression was also solemn, but soon she frowned. But this power doesn't seem right. Something was wrong. Something was indeed wrong. Not only her, but everyone else had noticed it. Among them, Yi Wudao frowned. This power doesn't seem like an almighty at all. Chapter 1737. What's going on? Is he hiding his strength? That can't be. That black octopus is extremely terrifying and has reached the level of an almighty. He wouldn't be so careless. Indeed, the black octopus was extremely terrifying. As it waved its 8 tentacles, it brought about a terrifying light as it bombarded the opponent. As for the human almighty, he was dodging nonstop. However, the power he used did not seem to be at the level of an almighty. He did not even use some of the almighty's techniques. What was going on? Everyone frowned. They did not understand what the other party was doing. Based on the current situation, the human almighty was extremely dangerous. Sure enough, after a few hundred moves, the human almighty was hit by a huge tentacle and his body was smashed into the sea. Not only that, the black octopus roared. A black ball of light formed above its head and blasted into the sea. Boom! The ball of light was so terrifying that it completely overturned the entire sea. The aftermath of the energy caused Lin Xian, Yi Wudao, and the others to hurriedly put up their energy defenses to resist. Because this was the energy of an almighty, they were unable to resist it. However, the aftermath could still be blocked. After a long time, the entire sea returned to normal. In the distance, blood flowed along the sea. Soon a corpse floated up. What? He was killed. How could this be? Everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. A dignified human mighty figure had actually been killed. That was too unbelievable. One had to know that that was a human almighty. Extremely terrifying. Even if he could not defeat the black octopus, escaping would not be a problem. However, he had been killed by the black octopus. What puzzled them was that the human almighty had not displayed any extraordinary techniques from the beginning to the end. That was why he was killed. What's going on? Was that almighty seriously injured? Is that why he couldn't use his full strength? Lu Mingyue frowned. The group was very confused. The Crimson Dragon's expression was extremely ugly. What's wrong, Rosalong? Lin Xian asked. That almighty was not injured, the Crimson Dragon said in a deep voice. However, his strength has not reached the almighty realm. There might be one possibility. What possibility? Even Leaf Daudenier and the others were curious. His cultivation is being suppressed, said the Crimson Dragon. The oblique moon profound world is a world of its own, and its laws are different from the outside world. Here, we can't easily mobilize the surrounding spiritual energy. In other words, the rules here are very disadvantageous to outsiders like us. If that's the case, it wouldn't be difficult for the Almighty's cultivation to be suppressed. After all, it contained the power of the laws. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The fact that the cultivation level of an almighty being was being suppressed was simply too shocking. However, what the Crimson Dragon said was reasonable. They were not ordinary warriors. They were all top geniuses of various major forces. They were experienced and knowledgeable. Thus, they believed those words in their hearts. If this was true, then it was definitely very bad news, because in this way, their advantage would be gone. The clan of the remote antiquity, the peerless sacred grounds, and other forces in the eastern barren territory had all sent grand overlords. But now, if their cultivation levels were being suppressed, the situation would be very disadvantageous for them if they encountered the natives. For example, the giant octopus from before could kill grand overlords. Thinking of this, their faces turned gloomy. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was overjoyed. It might not be good news for the major forces that the Almighty's cultivation level was being suppressed, but for him this was the best news, because he was alone without any sect, and there was no grand overlord protecting him. Originally, he was worried that it would be difficult for him to escape if the grand overlords of the wavering light, sacred ground chased after him. But now, it seemed that these things were no longer a problem. If the Grand Overlord's cultivation level was suppressed, no matter how powerful he was, Lin Xian would have no problem escaping if he couldn't defeat him. Moreover, there were many monsters in this primitive forest. As long as he made use of them, it wouldn't be a problem for him to kill Grand Overlords. Thinking of this, he felt a burst of excitement. Wavering light, sacred ground. How dare you put me on the wanted list for so long? You'd better not let me run into you. Otherwise, I'll definitely give you a super gift. Lin Xian coldly snorted in his heart. Since they knew about this situation, they had to make preparations in advance and inform the other members of the sect as soon as possible. Therefore, Lu Mingyue and the other three said, "Brother Yi, we're going to leave this place. Would you like to join us?" Hearing this, Yu Wudao shook his head and said, "No, I have other things to do." "All right, then we'll part ways here." Lu Mingyue smiled sweetly. Then, the four of them moved and left the place. During this process, they didn't invite Lin Xian. In their opinion, although Lin Xian was mysterious, he wasn't qualified to be with them. Regarding this, Lin Xian remained calm. After all, even if they invited him, he would still refuse. He couldn't walk together with the people of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Then Yu Wudao also left. For a time, only Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were left on the beach. However, the two of them moved quickly. Their goal was the dragon crystal in this primitive forest. After killing Li Wei, Gua, Chuan Fei, and the others, Lin Xian believed that apart from those powerful monstrous beasts, there was no one else in this forest that could be his match. But now it seemed that things had changed. The cultivators that had rushed over from behind were too powerful. For example, Yu Wudao, Lu Mingyue, and the others were all extremely terrifying. They far surpassed the cultivators from before. This posed an enormous threat to him. Therefore, he had to find the dragon crystal and increase his cultivation. Only then would he be able to survive in this forest. And so, they entered the forest again. However, after walking for a while, the little snow-white monkey suddenly jumped out. It grabbed Lin Xian's hair and started chirping nonstop. Its little paws were constantly gesturing as if it wanted to bring him to a certain place. "Where are we going?" Lin Xian asked. Then he followed the little monkey into the forest. But not long after, Lin Xian's face darkened. That was because he discovered that the little monkey had brought him to the lair of a monstrous beast king. Moreover, it wasn't an ordinary monstrous beast king. It was the incomparably ferocious, six-armed divine ape from before. The Crimson Dragon felt his scalp go numb. He said in a low voice, "Damned brat, are you trying to kill us? Why did you bring us here?" His voice was so low that it was almost inaudible. That was because the six-armed divine ape was sleeping. He was afraid of disturbing it. Chapter 1738. If it woke up and discovered them, it would be difficult for them to escape. The little white monkey waved its paws, as if to say that it was very safe here. Lin Xian was very suspicious. He carefully probed with his soul power and found that the six-armed abyss seemed to be in a very strange state. It probably wouldn't wake up for a while. Should we go and take a look? Anyway, he had mastered the heavenly dragon's 8 steps, and his speed was terrifying. Even if there was danger, he should be able to escape. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to go and take a look. After all, if the little white monkey was so concerned about it, it was probably rare treasure. Therefore, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon discussed for a while and then cautiously walked forward. In front of them, the 6-armed godly ape was like a small golden mountain, crawling there. Although it was in a strange, deep sleep, the demonic aura emitted from its body was still very terrifying. It made them all feel a sense of trepidation. Not only that, when Lin Xian got closer, he found that there were a few terrifying cracks on the back of the 6-armed godly ape. It must have been injured by the 9th heaven divine thunder that day. It was probably in a deep sleep now because of the injuries on its body. If that was the case, Lin Xian and the others would be much safer. In front of them, the little white monkey was jumping up and down on the 6-armed godly ape quickly. This scene almost made the Crimson Dragon's jaw drop. He quickly pulled the little white monkey over and scolded it. He was afraid that it would wake up the 6-armed godly ape. However, it was reassuring that the 6-armed godly ape hadn't woken up yet. Woo woo! The little white monkey stopped fooling around. It pointed to the front and signaled Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon to go over. Then it took the lead and ran over. Could it be that there's really a treasure? Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon quickly went over. Then they were stunned, because they found that there was a 5-colored stone in front of them. The 5-colored stone was the size of a palm and stood in front of them. It was surrounded by a 5-colored radiance and emitted waves of spiritual qi. When Lin Xian saw it, he was also stunned. "Ruzalong, what is this?" he asked in bewilderment. "I don't know." The Crimson Dragon shook its head. He was experienced and knowledgeable, but he still didn't know what the 5-colored stone in front of him was, because that stone was simply too strange. Judging from the brilliance, it seemed to be a treasure. However, the faint aura it gave off seemed to be something that had existed for a very long time. It gave people a very contradictory feeling. In the next moment, the Crimson Dragon waved its claws, trying to grab the colorful stone. But soon he was stunned, because he realized that he couldn't pull it out at all. That 5-colored stone seemed to be connected to the earth. It was abnormally hard. F***CK, did I see a ghost? The Crimson Dragon didn't believe it. It circulated its strength again and pulled up quickly. However, he couldn't shake it at all. F***CK, this is really weird. Ben Huang can't pull it out. The Crimson Dragon frowned angrily. Lin Xian stopped him when he saw that the Crimson Dragon was about to attack again. "Ruzalong, don't mess around. It won't be good if you break this treasure." "Let me try." After saying that, he stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. A palm of light appeared and carefully enveloped the 5-colored stone. Then he pulled it up forcefully. The result was the same. He still couldn't pull it out. This is really weird. Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't dare to use his full strength for fear of alarming the 6-armed ape beside him. However, judging from the strength he had exerted, even if it was a mountain, he would be able to pull it out. But now, he couldn't pull out a stone the size of a palm. It was really too weird. However, the little white monkey squinted his big eyes like crescent moons. He quickly ran in front of the 5-colored stone, then stretched out his furry little paws and hugged it in his arms. Plop! With a gentle hug, the little white monkey pulled out the 5-colored stone. What? That works. The dark red dragon widened its eyes, unable to believe what it was seeing. Lin Xian's mouth twitched. He couldn't pull it out after using so much strength, but the little white monkey pulled it out with a gentle hug. This was too weird. Sigh. The Crimson Dragon held his chin and thought for a long time before saying, "This is definitely a treasure. Legend has it that a divine item can choose its owner. It seems that the two of us were unlucky to not be chosen by the divine item. Lin Xian was also confused. You mean we couldn't pull out the 5-colored stone because we weren't fated with the treasure? And Little White was chosen. That should be the case. The Crimson Dragon sighed. Damn that little guy. His luck is too good to be able to obtain such a divine item. Lin Xian also heaved a sigh of relief. Although he didn't get it, it was good to give it to the little white monkey. After all, Little White was his partner. Since they had obtained the 5-colored stone, Lin Xian and the other two didn't dare to stay here any longer. They quickly moved and ran into the distance. This time, they climbed over more than a dozen mountains in a row. After putting enough distance between them, they stopped. They had no choice. This thing was next to the 6-armed ape. Who knew if it belonged to it? If it woke up and found that the divine item was gone, it would definitely go berserk. They couldn't fight against a berserk monster king. Therefore, they could only run as far as they could. In a safe forest, Lin Xian and the other two stopped. Then the little white monkey jumped on the ground, still holding the 5-colored stone in its arms. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon also observed it carefully. They didn't take a closer look before, and only felt that the 5-colored stone was extraordinary. Now that they took a closer look, it was indeed so. The 5-colored stone was the size of a palm and almost as tall as the little white monkey. There were 5 colors on it, and it emitted a bright light. It was like a divine light that contained a lot of power. Lin Xian even found that wherever the 5-colored stone was, the surrounding spiritual energy would involuntarily gather towards it. Could it be that the 5-colored stone can absorb the spiritual energy between heaven and earth? Lin Xian was shocked. The snow-white little monkey hugged the 5-colored divine stone and was as happy as a child. It took a deep breath, and a 5-colored light appeared on the 5-colored stone and then entered the little white fox's body. Soon, Little White's body was suffused with a faint 5-colored light. It was very sacred. Damn! At the side, the Crimson Dragon was very envious. Its saliva was almost dripping onto the ground. In the next moment, it also took a deep breath. Suddenly, a 5-colored light rushed out and entered the Crimson Dragon's body. Damn, no way! I can absorb it too? The Crimson Dragon was very excited. Lin Xian tried and found that he could absorb it too. This made him very happy. However, he found that after they absorbed it, the 5-colored stone's light became much dimmer. Damn, no way! It's out of energy? Chapter 1739. Damn, are you kidding me? There's no more energy? The Crimson Dragon's eyelids twitched. After waiting for a long time, he heaved a sigh of relief. He realized that the 5-colored holy stone was gradually regaining its luster. The stone could automatically replenish its energy. The Crimson Dragon opened his mouth wide. It was indeed a heaven-defying divine object. Lin Xian was also shocked. Judging from the energy absorbed just now, it was no less than the energy of the dragon crystal. More importantly, the 5-colored holy stone could replenish its energy by itself. It was equivalent to an unlimited dragon crystal. However, the only drawback was that the 5-colored holy stone did not contain much energy. It would take some time to absorb it. Oh no, the little white monkey was also playing with the 5-colored holy stone in its hand. However, from the looks of it, he seemed to think that the stone was too big for him to carry. However, the stone seemed to be very intelligent. It could understand Little White's meaning. Hence, under the shocked gazes of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, the 5-colored holy stone gradually became smaller. However, the light on it became even more dazzling. In the end, it became like a jelly bean and was swallowed by the little white monkey. Damn, no way! Damn, monkey, you actually ate it? This is a treasure. The little white monkey looked at him with disdain. Then it opened its mouth and spat out the 5-colored holy stone again. Not only that, but the 5-colored holy stone was even more intelligent this time. Under Little White's furry paws, it kept changing into various forms. Swords, spears, staffs, cloaks, clothes, helmets. In short, it could change into various forms. The little white monkey was very excited by this change. The crimson dragon was also curious. He took it and tried it. In the end, he realized that he could not make the 5-colored holy stone do this. Lin Xian was shocked. It seemed that the 5-colored holy stone was born to belong to the little white monkey. Just as the few of them were studying the 5-colored god stone, a furious roar suddenly came from afar. That voice was too terrifying. It contained infinite anger. In an instant, the clouds in the sky were shattered. On top of that, the ground began to tremble violently. In fact, a few of the mountain peaks even exploded. Hearing this sound, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon felt their scalps tingle. They knew that the 6-armed ape had woken up. The 6-armed divine ape had indeed woken up. However, the moment it woke up, it was incomparably furious. This was because he discovered that the 5-colored divine stone beside him had disappeared without a trace. This made him extremely furious. So in the next moment, he immediately went berserk. The 6-armed godly ape was an extremely terrifying demon king with heaven-defying strength. Its rampage caused the entire primeval forest to descend into chaos. That terrifying body swept in all directions. The demonic aura on his body soared into the sky, forming a golden demonic cloud that bared its fangs and brandished its claws. The nearby demonic beasts were all affected and fled madly. Even a few human ancient martial art practitioners were affected by it. The 6 arms waved and grabbed the nearby mountain peaks, uprooting them. Not only that, the 6-armed divine ape did not find the whereabouts of the 5-colored divine stone after searching the surroundings. Thus, he began to run towards the distance. The earth trembled as if there was an earthquake. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon felt their scalps tingle. They hurriedly took the little white monkey and left. However, the little white monkey was not afraid. It shrank the 5-colored divine stone again and swallowed it directly into its mouth, cutting off the connection between the 5-colored divine stone and the outside world. As expected, the 6-armed divine ape could no longer find the right direction. It could only destroy everything around it. Only when the 6-armed divine ape left and Lin Xian and the other 2 were safe did they heave a sigh of relief. Then the Crimson Dragon set up a spirit gathering array. The little white monkey stood in the spirit gathering array with the 5-colored divine stone in its arms. In the next moment, the 5-colored divine stone shone brightly. Lin Xian and the other 2 absorbed the 5-colored energy together. Whoosh! Whoosh! The energy was too pure and rich. Lin Xian's secret art of longevity was running wildly in his body, absorbing the energy of the lotus with all his might. 5 days later, a low vibration came from Lin Xian's body. It was like a muffled thunder. Then, a terrifying energy surged from his body. Boom! Sword Qi soared into the sky. It was incomparably sharp. It slashed through the void and disappeared into the clouds above. In the next moment, Lin Xian opened his eyes. Golden light flashed in his eyes. There were even mysterious Tao patterns appearing. The aura on his body was as deep as the sea. It was extremely terrifying. I broke through. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. A smile appeared on his face. Finally, he had successfully broken through to the 4-star king realm. Compared to before, his cultivation and strength had increased tremendously. Sensing that the great dragon sword soul had become more powerful, Lin Xian revealed a satisfied smile. Now, even if he encountered Lu Mingyue or other genius martial artists, he would not be afraid. Moreover, with the 5-colored divine stone in his hand, his strength would continue to increase. Then Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon went on their way again. Half a day later, a valley appeared in front of them. The surrounding vegetation was lush, and the spirit qi was very dense. The valley was filled with flowers, birds, and beasts. It was like a paradise on earth. Not only that, Lin Xian saw two familiar faces in the valley, Lu Mingyue and the pale-faced young man, Yan Qing. Lu Mingyue was in a blue dress. Her body was graceful, and she was very agile and elegant. Her peerless face was like a dream. Beside her, Yan Qing's face was pale. There was a strange glow on his body. It was as if he could dominate the entire forest. In the next moment, the two of them turned around and stared at Lin Xian. Then they frowned. "Why are you here?" Lu Mingyue asked. Her voice was cold. "I passed by on the way. I didn't expect you to be here too." Lin Xian replied in a deep voice. When he saw the other party's expression, he became vigilant. He thought that they knew that Guo Chuanfei and the others had been killed. In front, Lu Mingyue's clothes fluttered like a fairy. Her eyes were filled with arrogance. She looked down at Lin Xian and said coldly, "Leave. This is not a place where you can come. There are some things that you can't touch." Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. The other party's attitude made him very unhappy. However, at the same time he also relaxed, because he realized that it wasn't about Guo Chuanfei. Instead, the other party seemed to have discovered something and didn't want others to enter the valley. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. He didn't want to be entangled with the other party, so his figure flashed and he left the area, flying into the distance. Yan Qing's eyes were cold as he watched Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon leave. He's lucky that he ran fast enough. Otherwise, I would definitely bury him under my thorn flower. Lu Mingyue frowned slightly and said softly, "His origin is a little mysterious. He actually knows Yi Wudao." But fortunately, he was tactful and didn't force his way into the valley. Otherwise, we would have to make a move on him. In the next moment, the two of them retracted their gazes and ignored Lin Xian. Instead, they looked at the valley. "That thing should be here. Search carefully. We can't let it escape." Chapter 1740. Soon, the two unleashed their powerful soul powers and began searching the valley. On the other side, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon left the valley. "Brat, those two were too arrogant. Why didn't you attack them?" The Crimson Dragon snorted angrily. The other party's arrogant attitude made it very unhappy. Lin Xian shook his head. "No hurry. There's no need to fight them now. At least we need to figure out what they're looking for." This primeval forest was too mysterious. He had once found a dragon crystal and a 5-colored divine stone here. Presumably, other cultivators would also have made great discoveries and found heaven-defying treasures. This wasn't strange at all. Sure enough, not long after, Lin Xian found traces of other cultivators. He even found many scenes of fighting along the way. Obviously, someone had made a move. In front of him, there was blood and several corpses. It seemed that the battle was very fierce. However, those people had already left and seemed to be rushing forward. What were these people looking for? Even the Crimson Dragon was very curious. Suddenly, Lin Xian frowned and looked behind him to his left. He realized that there was a strange energy fluctuation there. Someone was rushing over at a fast speed. In the next moment, he showed a surprised expression, because there really was someone rushing over. Not only that, he was very familiar with that person. It was the person he had seen before Yi Wudao. Yi Wudao was still dressed in white, spotless clothes. His face was handsome like a god of war. His whole person exuded a majestic vitality. "Brother Long, I didn't expect to see you again so soon." Yi Wudao smiled when he saw Lin Xian. "That's right, Brother Yi. I wonder what these people are looking for." Lin Xian voiced his doubts. "Not long ago, someone found a spiritual old medicine. These people are desperately trying to find traces of the spiritual old medicine. Spiritual old medicine. Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked. As an alchemist, he knew about this spiritual old medicine. That was because it was an extremely precious spirit medicine. Not only was it extremely old, but it also had spirituality. It could fly in the sky and burrow into the ground to avoid martial artists. It could be said that it was full of spirituality. Its effects were even more terrifying. It could increase a martial artist's power, extend their lifespan, and even bring the dead back to life. It could be said that its effects were extremely miraculous. This was definitely a rare treasure. This kind of psychic old medicine was very rare in the outside world. To think that it actually appeared in this primeval forest. That's right. Unfortunately, the appearance of this psychic medicine is going to cause a rain of blood and a foul wind. If you don't have a special need for the psychic old herb, Brother Long shouldn't get involved in this mess. Leaf Doudenier said slowly. This was because he knew that Lin Xian was just a rogue cultivator without a sect behind him. It would be very dangerous for him to participate in such a competition. Indeed, many experts had landed in this primeval forest, causing the situation here to become very complicated. Those top sects could be said to be extremely terrifying. Under their combined strength, even a genius martial artist would be defeated. Next, Leaf Doudenier left. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't expect that these people would be fighting over the psychic old herb. This was a rare divine medicine that would be very useful to him. How could he not fight for it? Moreover, the cultivation bases of the Almighties who were the greatest threat to him had already been suppressed by the laws of this place. With his heavenly dragons, 8 steps, and his extreme speed, he could fight against the major forces. At least his safety was guaranteed. Then he and the Crimson Dragon went on their way. The two of them quickly set off to search for the psychic old herb. Not long after, they heard the sound of fighting in front of them. The two of them were delighted, thinking that it must be related to the psychic old herb. Therefore they sped up. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon landed and found a few corpses in front of them. Moreover, there was an intense battle in front of them. It was a very tall figure, like a demonic beast, emitting an incomparably terrifying aura. With a wave of his arm, countless gusts of wind were created. A terrifying aura filled the entire space. In the distance, Lin Xian's pupils shrank when he saw the figure. He wasn't unfamiliar with this figure. It was the tall youth he met on the beach, Ouyingfeng. The other party was a martial artist from the 4 Symbols Sacred Grounds, and his strength was terrifying. Now that he saw him, he was indeed so powerful that it made people tremble. His opponent wasn't weak either. It was a man in a black robe with a sinister and cold aura around him. With a wave of his hand, a terrifying cold wind blew, and blue ice pierced the bones as it quickly blasted forward. In an instant, the entire forest was frozen. The other party was an ice-type martial artist, and the power of his ice was extremely terrifying. It was as if it could freeze everything in the world. However, the tall demonic beast youth, Ouyingfeng, laughed maniacally. He waved his fist, and a terrifying force smashed into the ice that filled the sky. Ka-ka-ka! A terrifying sound rang out, and the ice that filled the sky instantly cracked and fell to the ground. Not only that, the black-robed youth's body was torn apart by a punch. Blood gushed out, and the scene was terrifying. Seeing this scene, even Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's hearts beat wildly. They had to admit that the other party's strength was too violent. It was as if he was a human-shaped dragon. Chapter 1741. Treasures are ownerless. Anyone can look for them. If you can look for them, why can't I? Lin Xian sneered. Do you really think you're superior? You want to look for treasures too? Humph, you're overestimating yourself. You're just a rogue cultivator. How dare you compete with us? Looks like you don't know what's good for you. I'll give you one last chance. Get lost. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state. Ouyang Feng snorted with a murderous look in his eyes. Lin Xian's face darkened. Ouyang Feng's attitude annoyed him, so he didn't answer him. He raised his fist and punched at Ouyang Feng. You're courting death. Ouyang Feng was furious. Ouyang Feng dared to attack him. He was courting death. In the next moment, he punched at Ouyang Feng as well. At the same time, a terrifying aura surged from his body and instantly filled the entire space. Boom! Boom! In the next moment, everything around him was smashed apart. It couldn't withstand the aura at all. The surrounding forest was instantly blasted into powder. The mountain peak in the distance also exploded. It turned into countless boulders and rolled to the ground. The terrifying aura made one's scalp tingle. It was a shocking scene. Everything was smashed to pieces. It couldn't withstand the aura at all. Bang! A terrifying fist broke through the air. It carried endless energy and the power of a savage beast as it blasted toward Lin Xian. In the next moment, the terrifying fist shadows collided in the air and made a deafening sound. A terrifying storm tore through the void. Kill! Lin Xian shouted coldly. Sword Qi surged from his body, and a huge sword ray shot into the sky. What? He's a swordsman, the surrounding warriors exclaimed. Ouyang Feng was also surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to block his punch. It was too surprising. There were also warriors watching the battle. When they saw Lin Xian block Ouyang Feng's punch, they gasped. They knew how powerful Ouyang Feng was. In the forest, he had killed many experts with one punch. It could be said that he was an extremely fearful demon king. But now, there was actually someone who could block his attack. It was simply too shocking. Dazzling, sword Qi swept out in all directions. At this moment, the entire space was filled with violent sword Qi, quickly enveloping Ouyang Feng. Humph, it's useless. Ouyang Feng sneered. Fighting with me is the biggest mistake of your life. He roared and threw out a punch. The terrifying fist collided with the sword Qi that filled the sky, creating an earth-shattering sound. Clang! Clang! The void trembled and the earth cracked. However, to Ouyang Feng's surprise, the sword Qi that filled the sky did not crack. This was something that surprised him greatly. One had to know that his fist was extremely powerful, and it could even blast open the body of a 6-star king. But now he was actually unable to break through his opponent's sword Qi. It had to be said that it was really too shocking. Even Sun Yang, who was watching from the side, was frowning. To be honest, he didn't care about Lin Xian at all before, but he didn't expect that the other party's strength would exceed their expectations. So powerful. 4 symbols, sacred grounds? You're just SO. Is this what gives you the right to be arrogant? What a joke. Lin Xian held the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand and walked forward step by step like a god of death. With every step he took, the aura on his body became more tyrannical. In the end, a sword Qi pierced through heaven and earth. It was incomparably sharp, as if it was a heavenly sword. It was terrifying to the extreme. You're courting death. Kid, I'll let you know my true power today. On the other side, Ouyang Feng was furious. As a genius, he had never been looked down upon like this. Therefore, in the next moment, he roared angrily, and the aura on his body suddenly erupted. He waved his fists and light shone. An immemorial mammoth appeared, letting out a dull roar. That scene was too terrifying. The immemorial mammoth was like a demonic mountain. It was incomparably heavy, and its terrifying roar caused the entire forest to tremble. Then the immemorial mammoth rushed toward Lin Xian with its fists. Bang! Bang! The void could not withstand this force at all and directly cracked. Lin Xian's expression was extremely solemn. He had to admit that the other party's strength was too terrifying. However, it was impossible for them to defeat him with this amount of power. In the next moment, he snorted coldly, raised his arm, and brandished the nine-darkness demonic sword. The great dragon sword soul within his body circulated. The terrifying sword chi turned into a boundless galaxy, slashing forward. In an instant, the black sword chi that filled the sky enveloped that immemorial mammoth. In the void, a terrifying sound was emitted. The two people's attacks exploded in the air, covering the entire space. Even those martial artists watching the battle in the surroundings had a change in expression, running toward the back like crazy. Because this explosion was seriously too terrifying. If they were swept into it, they would not be able to resist at all. Who is this person? So powerful. He could actually contend with Ouyang Feng. Everyone looked at Lin Xian, extremely shocked. On the other side, Ouyang Feng was shocked again. The fist art that he displayed just now was an ultimate skill of the four symbols, holy lands. The immemorial mammoth fist could summon the phantom of an immemorial mammoth and use it to fight. One could say that the power was terrifying to the extreme. Even a 6-star sovereign could not trap it, and the other party's sword chi was actually blocked. This surprised him. Not only that, the swift and fierce aura that the other party's sword chi carried made him have a feeling of palpitating with fear and trepidation. Who is this kid? How can he possibly possess such a sharp sword Dao aura? He seriously could not figure out how an itinerant cultivator could possibly possess such formidable power. The next moment, Ouyang Feng roared angrily and attacked again. Immemorial mammoth fist. In the void, the silhouettes of immemorial mammoths appeared once more. But this time there were two. The two immemorial mammoths stood indomitable, emitting terrifying power from all over their bodies. Countless light rays revolved around them as if these two immemorial mammoths could suppress everything in the world. Two immemorial mammoths? How terrifying! In the distance, the martial artists watching the battle felt their hearts beat wildly, because just this aura alone made them tremble uncontrollably. If facing it head-on, they probably could not withstand a blow at all. This Ouyang Feng is too powerful to actually be able to condense two immemorial mammoths. As far as I know, each additional immemorial mammoth, the power will double. What? Double? You're saying that the power of this punch is double of the previous punch? Heaven, just what kind of fist art is this? Is he still human? After everyone heard this news, their scalps tingled. That punch from before was already extremely terrifying. Now it even doubled. Just how terrifying would it be? They did not dare to imagine. Most likely it was very hard for anyone to block in the same rank. Opposite, Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. He felt a terrifying aura from the two immemorial mammoth phantoms. That aura was already able to threaten him. Chapter 1742. He didn't dare to be careless. With a wave of his hand, the dragon's sword domain appeared and floated around him. As soon as the dragon's sword domain appeared, a terrifying sword chi shot into the sky. The sharp aura made the entire space unable to withstand it. The surrounding cultivators were even trembling, a hint of fear appearing in their eyes. Heavens, what a terrifying sword Dao domain! Why do I feel that young man is not weaker than Ouyang Feng at all? Yeah, this sword chi is too sharp. I've never seen it before. Who is he? On the opposite side, Ouyang Feng's pupils shrank when he saw Lin Xian's dragon sword domain. Needless to say, the other party's sharp aura made him feel threatened. Therefore, he didn't hesitate and quickly moved out. With a punch, the two immemorial demonic elephants roared and rushed toward Lin Xian. Terrifying power surged, and the earth shook as if there was a huge earthquake. The two immemorial demonic elephants each had destructive power, enough to kill a 6-star king. Now that the two had appeared together, the scene was extremely terrifying. On the opposite side, Lin Xian didn't hesitate. He waved the 9 darkness demonic sword, and the dragon sword domain around him trembled rapidly. Rays of dazzling sword qi crisscrossed and protected him. At the same time, more sword qi slashed forward. Boom! Boom! Lin Xian attacked aggressively. Every ray of sword qi was extremely sharp, as if it could destroy everything. In the end, the sword qi that filled the sky intertwined and formed an azure dragon. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced on the 2 immemorial demonic elephants. Boom! Boom! The sky collapsed, and a terrifying aura swept in all directions. Humph! At this moment, Ouyang Feng snorted and waved his fist quickly. Demonic elephant sky suppression, he roared, and the 2 immemorial demonic elephant phantoms roared toward the sky. The light on their bodies soared into the sky, and the 2 immemorial demonic elephants' bodies continued to grow. They were like 2 immemorial stone tablets that wanted to suppress the azure dragon. The immemorial demonic elephant was a very powerful demonic beast in ancient times. It was rumored to be a demonic beast that suppressed hell. At this moment, when Ouyang Feng used it, it was extremely terrifying. The 2 immemorial demonic elephants gradually grew larger and covered the sky, wanting to suppress the azure dragon's sword qi. Suppress! Ouyang Feng roared, and the azure dragon sword qi. What? He actually suppressed it. This immemorial demonic elephant is too terrifying. It can even suppress such a sharp sword energy. I'm afraid nothing in this world can stop it. When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Ouyang Feng sneered, "Kid, you're going to lose. You want to fight me with this little bit of strength? The difference is too great." Lin Xian's face darkened as he coldly snorted. In the next moment, the great dragon sword soul within his body began to revolve wildly, causing the void in front of him to tremble violently. Pung! An earth-shattering sound rang out as the 2 immemorial demonic mammoths in front of him collapsed. Endless sword qi gushed out from below and shot up into the sky. Then it transformed into an azure dragon that roared at the sky. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions. What? He's out! When everyone saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian was bound to lose, but they did not expect that in the blink of an eye, the sword qi azure dragon would rush out. It had to be said that it was really too surprising. Even Ouyang Feng's pupils constricted, and his face was full of shock. He did not expect that his 2 immemorial demonic mammoths would be shattered. What kind of sword qi was that? How could it be so powerful? You finished your attack. Next, it's my turn. Lin Xian said coldly. He held the 9 darkness demonic sword in his hand, and in a flash, he arrived on top of the sword qi azure dragon. Then, 1 man and 1 dragon quickly charged forward. Roar! Boom! The terrifying sword qi tore through the sky and slashed toward Ouyang Feng. Humph! Seeing the shocking sword qi, Ouyang Feng moved his body and quickly dodged. However, he still underestimated the sword qi because he could not dodge it at all. Ouyang Feng's face was gloomy as he quickly waved his palm. The light on his body bloomed and instantly formed a huge demonic mammoth's head. It was as if a gate of hell was placed in front of him. Pung! In the next moment, the shocking sword qi slashed on the black gate formed by the immemorial demonic mammoth, making a loud noise. However, the black gate of hell was too terrifying. It was incomparably hard and was not damaged. In fact, there was not even a crack on it. For a moment, everyone was shocked. Even Lin Xian frowned slightly. He did not expect Ouyang Feng to have such a powerful defensive technique. White Tiger Aura. After blocking Lin Xian's shocking sword chi, Ouyang Feng roared again. In the next moment, his fist technique changed rapidly, and a terrifying murderous aura gushed out from his body. At this moment, Ouyang Feng was tall, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. He really looked like a demonic beast and was extremely terrifying. As his fist moved, a loud and clear whistling sound could be heard. The sound shook the forest and made people's blood boil. A huge white tiger appeared in his palm, roaring and rushing toward Lin Xian. The azure dragon on the left and the white tiger on the right. The white tiger was in charge of attacking, and its murderous aura was extremely terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it rushed toward Lin Xian in an overwhelming manner, as if it was going to tear him apart. Lin Xian's expression was grave as well. He did not expect Ouyang Feng's random fist technique to be so terrifying. This white tiger phantom before his eyes made all the hairs on his body stand on end. In the next moment, he roared and waved his fist. The apocalyptic black dragon fist surged out violently. The black fist surged and formed a huge black dragon, covering the sky and emitting a terrifying aura. In the surroundings, black lightning fell and pierced through the void. Boom! In a fierce battle, powerful energy swept out in all directions. The entire sky was drowned in an instant and turned into chaos. After blocking Ouyang Feng's white tiger, Lin Xian made another move. With a wave of his hand, a black dragon claw quickly grabbed at Ouyang Feng, as if it was going to tear him in half. Crack, crack, crack. The void split open in an instant. A terrifying crack appeared and spread towards Ouyang Feng at a high speed. Roar! Ouyang Feng roared, and his eyes were bloodshot. He waved his fists, and a terrifying energy surged forward. Get lost! White tiger demonic tattoos appeared on his body. It was extremely terrifying. Clang! In a shocking collision, Ouyang Feng dodged Lin Xian's attack. However, he was incomparably shocked. Ouyang Feng was too powerful, so powerful that he could not believe it. On the other side, Lin Xian was also shocked. However, in the next moment, he snorted coldly. He put away the 9 underworld demonic sword. Ouyang Feng, martial artist of the 4 symbols, sacred grounds. Aren't you proud of your fist techniques? Today, I will defeat you with my fist techniques. What? Hearing this, the crowd was in an uproar. They could not believe it because they already knew that Lin Xian was a swordsman. With his sharp sword chi, he could contend with Ouyang Feng with his terrifying sword techniques. But now, Ouyang Feng wanted to give up his advantage and use his fist techniques to contend with Ouyang Feng. Was he not courting death? Chapter 1743. Lin Xian wanted to give up his advantage and fight Ouyang Feng with his fists. Wasn't this a suicidal act? One had to know that Ouyang Feng was most proficient in terrifying fist techniques. Ouyang Feng sneered when he heard this. Stupid boy. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. To be honest, he was going crazy with anger. Since Lin Xian dared to look down on him, he had to kill him here and now. On the other side, Ouyang Feng's companion, Sun Yang, sneered. What an idiot! Instead of using his sword, he dares to fight Ouyang Feng with his fists? It seems that this boy is really dead. Seeing Lin Xian give up his sword and fight with his fists, Ouyang Feng laughed wildly. Then he waved his fists and used the white tiger divine fist. A terrifying white tiger shadow quickly attacked. Lin Xian also quickly brandished his fist technique. He did not use the apocalyptic black dragon fist. Instead, he used another fist technique, the 5 elements fist. This fist was a unique skill of the 5 element sect. Lin Xian naturally did not know how to use it, but he had the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul was an offensive saint technique that could simulate everything. Lin Xian had seen the 5 elements fist before and could simulate it with the Great Dragon Sword. In an instant, he used the metal element fist of the 5 elements fist. Golden light shone in the sky. It was terrifying. The metal element fist of the 5 elements fist was similar to the white tiger divine fist. It specialized in killing and was extremely fierce. Moreover, the fist contained the Great Dragon Sword Soul. When it was used, it was even more terrifying. In the next moment, the terrifying golden fist collided with the white tiger divine fist. There were countless collisions in the air. Lin Xian's fist was too violent. The golden light was like a wave, violently slapping in all directions. However, Ouyang Feng was not weak either. The white tiger divine fist was terrifying. The huge white tiger shadow, carrying terrifying energy, collided with the golden light in the sky and tore it apart. In an instant, the two disappeared in the sky. What a fierce fist! When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, they immediately exclaimed in surprise. They thought that since Lin Xian had abandoned his sword, he would definitely be at a disadvantage and might even be defeated in one move. But he didn't expect his opponent's fist technique to be so fierce. That golden light was in no way inferior to sword chi. No wonder he dared to compete with Ouyang Feng in fist techniques. Damn it, how can this kid's fist technique be so powerful? Ouyang Feng's face was also ugly. He did not expect his opponent's fist technique to be so terrifying. It was not any weaker than his white tiger divine fist. It even made his hair stand on end. Damned brat, I don't believe you. Die! Ouyang Feng roared and performed another fist technique. Above his fist, a terrifying light flashed, falling from the sky like a Milky Way. This scene was simply too astonishing. It was as if a true divine river from the 9 heavens was descending from the immortal palace. Lin Xian also snorted coldly and changed his fist technique again. The fist of metal became the fist of water, the boundless sea. The seawater in the sky surged, and the entire space seemed to have turned into an ocean. It was densely packed, and every inch of space was filled with the power of the seawater. It was hard to defend against it. Boom! 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 The 7 Milky Ways that Ouyang Feng shot out were instantly drowned. Not only that, but his body also kept retreating. What? When the surrounding people saw this scene, their eyes widened. They couldn't believe that Ouyang Feng was actually pushed back. Moreover, he was pushed back by a fist technique. This was simply too unbelievable. Ouyang Feng's face was also ugly. He couldn't believe that his opponent had actually defeated him in fist techniques. One had to know that he was a genius martial artist from the 4 symbols, sacred ground. His strength was terrifying, and it was hard to find a match among those of the same level. Even the older generation figures were no match for him. But now, someone who was obviously younger than him and was a lone cultivator had actually pushed him back. He couldn't accept this. Therefore, in the next moment, he roared and performed his king's domain. This time, he was going to go all out. Otherwise, if he lost to his opponent today, he would not have the face to continue living. Ouyang Feng's king's domain was extremely terrifying. It was formed by the immemorial demonic elephants. It was extremely thick and heavy, as if it could crush the void. In an instant, the immemorial demonic elephant domain enveloped Lin Xian. Suddenly, Lin Xian felt the pressure. It was as if 100,000 mountains were mercilessly pressing down on his head, crushing his body. Lin Xian's eyes exploded with a bright light. He quickly waved his fists. Terrifying power surged out, and the golden light shone even brighter. It covered the sky and covered the earth, rushing towards his opponent's entire domain. At this moment, the golden light on Lin Xian's fists had all turned into golden swords, extremely sharp. Boom! Boom! An intense collision occurred. The golden light violently blasted on the immemorial demonic elephant domain, and the void shook violently. The surrounding martial artists quickly retreated. The ground cracked, and huge cracks appeared, spreading into the distance. In the sky, a golden storm had formed. It was like a golden sun. Boom! In the end, the golden storm exploded and swept out in all directions. Ouyang Feng's face was pale, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Then his body was on the verge of collapse, because in this explosion his king's domain also exploded, causing him to be seriously injured. Ouyang Feng was injured. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists' scalps went numb, and Sun Yang's expression changed greatly. To be honest, he really did not expect things to turn out this way. He did not expect this scene at all. Damn it, impossible! I don't believe it. Ouyang Feng's hair was disheveled and his face was crazed. He really could not believe that his opponent had defeated him in fist techniques. Damn it, this is the Five Elements fist. Are you from the Five Elements sect? Ouyang Feng asked, gritting his teeth. What? The Five Elements sect? Everyone was shocked. Yes, he is using the Five Elements fist, someone exclaimed. Is he really a martial artist from the Five Elements sect? However, on the other side, Sun Yang frowned. Impossible, we all know people from the Five Elements sect who have such power. But I've never heard of this kid. They were too confused. It doesn't matter which sect I'm from. What's important is that it's all over. Lin Xian said coldly, then waved the earth element fist. Suddenly, the earth surged, and two large yellow hands appeared, grabbing at Ouyang Feng. At the same time, a huge mountain fell from the sky. Boom! In an instant, the sky was crushed. Ouyang Feng used his movement technique and disappeared from the spot. With a boom, the void cracked, forming a large black rift valley, pierced by the huge mountain. At the same time, a wave fell from the sky. A terrifying force rushed out, affecting the entire space, causing a tsunami to occur in the entire forest. The surroundings collapsed. This was the water element fist. At this moment, it was extremely terrifying. Chapter 1744. At the same time, there was a wave that fell from the sky. A terrifying force rushed out and affected the entire space, causing a tsunami to occur in the entire forest. Everything around them collapsed. It was the water element fist. It was extremely terrifying. On the side, Sun Yang pulled Ouyang Feng, and the two of them quickly retreated. That was because the current Lin Xian was simply too powerful. They simply couldn't withstand him. Ouyang Feng's face was gloomy, but he also retreated with them, because he couldn't figure out Lin Xian's true identity at all. Why did he use the Five Element fist? And the power was terrifying. You want to leave? Lin Xian snorted and waved his fist again. Suddenly, boundless waves swept out and surrounded the surroundings. You're courting death. Get lost. Ouyang Feng was furious. He did not expect that the other party would not let them leave. It was too much. In the next moment, he summoned two immemorial demonic elephants again and rushed out. The terrifying demonic elephant shadows roared in the void palace and crushed the surroundings. On the other side, Sun Yang pulled out a large black flag from the void and kept spinning it. Suddenly, boundless black light surged like a black ocean, pressing down from the sky. In the next moment, it collided with Lin Xian's water element fist, causing a huge explosion. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the two of them quickly retreated like lightning. Kid, I'll remember what happened today. The next time we meet, I'll wash away today's humiliation. Ouyang Feng's voice came from afar. Lin Xian's eyes were like lightning and his expression was cold, but he did not pursue. Because he knew that it was easy to defeat the other party, but it would be difficult to kill him now. However, he thought that from now on, the other party would not dare to be presumptuous in front of him. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. They looked at Lin Xian with fear. They did not expect the nameless young man in front of them to be so terrifying. Even Ouyang Feng was no match for him. Soon, everyone retreated and did not dare to stay there. They were afraid of being targeted by Lin Xian. After everyone left, Lin Xian used the art of longevity to quickly heal the wounds on his body and the spirit energy he had consumed. The spirit qi in the surroundings surged towards him, causing his body to glow. It didn't take long for him to recover. One day later, he learned from other warriors that after Ouyang Feng and Sun Yang had left that day, someone had attacked them. The two of them engaged in an earth-shattering battle before finally leaving. This greatly shocked Lin Xian. It seemed that other than him, there were other experts hidden in this forest. More and more geniuses arrived at the woods. However, he was not afraid. Instead, the blood in his body surged, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit, because he was very confident in himself. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon continued their journey. Not long after, the two of them frowned. The reason for that was because they discovered a huge footprint in front of them. Furthermore, the footprints belonged to a human. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon looked at each other and saw the seriousness in each other's eyes. The Crimson Dragon's eyes flickered as he said in a deep voice, "Look at the footprints. Could it be the legendary giant clan? The giant clan? They actually exist in this forest." Lin Xian's expression was also solemn. Then, the two of them continued to walk forward. Gradually, Lin Xian and the others discovered that something was amiss, because they discovered that the forest was too quiet. There was not the slightest sound. One had to know that this was too eerie. This was a primeval forest with countless beasts around. There would definitely be sounds of beasts roaring. But now there was no sound at all. It was as if all the beasts had disappeared. The Crimson Dragon shrunk his neck. "Kid, this place is a little strange. Let's be careful." Lin Xian was also a little scared. This scene was too terrifying. The two of them walked carefully. After an hour, the surrounding forest gradually opened up. It was no longer a dense forest, but a sparse one. There were even large open spaces in some places. What shocked the two of them even more was that there were huge footprints left on the ground. Obviously, this should be the living area of the giants. Bang! 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 Suddenly, the ground began to tremble as if there was an earthquake. Then, a huge figure appeared in front of Lin Xian. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw the figure. It was indeed a giant. It was dozens of meters tall, and it walked like a dragon or a tiger. It was full of power. The young man who looked like a demonic beast, Ouyang Feng, was like a baby in front of this giant. Not only that, the giant was holding a huge mountain-splitting axe in one hand and an extremely terrifying demon wolf in the other. However, at this moment, it was already torn into pieces. That demon wolf was at least at the Demon King level. These giants were actually feeding on demon kings. One had to admit that it was too terrifying. Not only that, Lin Xian's face became gloomy in the next moment. That was because he discovered that two more giants had appeared behind the giant. At the same time, there was a figure standing on the shoulder of one of the giants. He was no stranger to that figure. It was the demoness of the Demon King Palace, Zhao Tianxia. Damn it! Why is this woman with these giants? Lin Xian frowned. He felt very uneasy after letting her escape last time. He didn't expect her to find these giants. Damn it! This woman must be eliminated. Lin Xian frowned. He discovered that the other party was too mysterious. She could constantly summon powerful companions. Humph! Zhao Tianxia, who was on the giant in front, also had a sharp gaze. She discovered Lin Xian's existence very quickly. Then, a cold smile appeared on her beautiful face. Capture the two of them. I want them alive. Zhao! Tianxia pointed into the distance and issued an order. Roar! Suddenly, the two giants around her let out angry roars. The sound was extremely terrifying. It was like a clap of thunder, shattering the surrounding clouds. Not only that, the two huge bodies also began to move. The entire ground shook violently. What the hell? This woman is crazy. The Crimson Dragon screamed. He didn't expect her to be able to command these giants. This was simply too unbelievable. Lin Xian's face also darkened. He couldn't understand how she did it. However, he knew that he was in great danger now. The next moment he shouted coldly. His body swayed quickly as he retreated. However, at this moment, huge figures appeared behind them, ready to block them. In an instant, for giants stood in all directions, trying to capture them. That huge body was like an ancient demonic mountain, standing tall in the surroundings, blocking all paths of retreat. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.